the air, online, covering the Treasure Coast. Get connected with the Get Up and Go show. And now here's your host, Evan and Bonnie.
6:07. It's a Get Up and Go show with Evan and Bonnie. Bonnie's back in the saddle after taking a elongated weekend. Must be nice.
Yeah, it's been a while, since I've taken
3-day weekend. I have no idea what that's like.
Since I've taken any time off, really. Even I think my last vacation was one entire week off last summer in June, which when we look at it, June is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Almost a year since I had any time off. So, yeah, a nice long Easter break.
I hired a new band. I got rid of the old band. I fired them.
I know
They're playing in the background. Do you like the band?
I feel like I should be all with the glitz and glamour, like I'm stepping out into some kind of a Vegas show.
Yeah, I wanted to give the show a fresh new sound, so I went out and hired a bunch of musicians that are COVID free. I had them pass the screening process at the front door.
Yeah.
I had all 9 of them come in here yesterday and freshen things up, and they had the whole band set up, and I recorded everything.
Are they so fresh, Evan, that you could play off the next band member's tuba
Pretty
after
much,
he plays?
Yeah, you could blow their horn without a doubt.
Put your lips on that.
Wow,
it's only 6:08 and we're starting already
with
the innuendos. Hey, Phil, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, that's what happens when you
doing?
take 3 days on a weekend. Bonnie comes back and she gets on a roll to start, and we haven't even gotten 3 minutes into the flipping show.
Bonnie, did you have any chocolate bunnies or jelly beans or anything like that?
We got our boy got a chocolate Easter bunny from the Easter Bunny, the chocolate
Very
kind,
cool.
and it was all melted inside.
Aw.
Somebody left it out in the sun.
But other than that, the Easter Bunny brought him one of the crazy things. This wasn't even like a logo or a Lego set. You know how the kids are building the Legos? This was like a multiple double standard, completely extreme hard complex thing to put together of the dragon from Game of Thrones.
Oh, wow.
And it even
cool.
has the mother of dragons sitting on top. But it takes the adults to even put the pieces together. And, the pieces are so intricate. And I'm just considering, why didn't we just buy him, or why didn't the Easter Bunny just bring a huge, big dragon already made?
Well, that takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're locked up in quarantine. Well, you have all this time on your hands.
Yeah.
So why not?
2 years ago, my daughter got a Lego set that had 4,020 something pieces.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, and it was the Disney castle.
Oh, the
Wow.
castle.
It took us about, if we sat down and just done it, it'd probably take about 8 hours. But
We're
we
talking
did
about
like
Cinderella's castle in Disney World.
Yes, there's a replica of it. Yeah,
Have you
Lego-wise.
lost your mind?
Oh, it took us about 4 weeks to build it.
Mhm.
But we did like a little bit at a time. If we would have sat down and just done it, it would have taken about 8 hours.
It's a project.
But we just did a little bit at a time.
I was telling Gary that how the kids used to build even the cars, maybe the model cars that you have up sitting on your shelf.
I remember when I was a kid, speaking of that, I remember I used to love building models. Like you would go to the store. I would go to like Play World.
Oh, yeah.
Lionel Play World when that was around.
Play World. Oh God.
Yeah, and I would go in and I'd ask my parents if I could get a model, and then you have the glue and all the pieces. But I was the kind of kid that after about the 4th piece, I got frustrated and I threw everything everywhere. Yeah.
Even back then, those were kind of complex for us
Those
to put
were
together.
fun. Those were fun though.
Yeah, and those Legos, I know the kids have gotten into the Lego sets, and they're not cheap either.
No.
And
No, they're not. I build like the 2,000 piece sets, and that's like my my moment of zen. I get home from work and I just start putting it together. It's like model building, like
Oh,
Evan
so if
said, for
Veronique
me.
needs to find you in the house, you're in the man cave building Legos.
Exactly.
Is that where it is? Okay.
Actually, I turned the dining room into the Lego. That like there's Lego pieces all over the formal dining room table, and
Yeah.
I'm just
So how did you guys eat Easter dinner if it was all over the formal dining room?
no, I haven't
Did you
built
have
one
a
in a while
Lego
though.
Easter Sunday brunch or what?
Had a little Lego in the pudding.
Right,
Yeah,
Lego in the Eggo.
pudding.
Lego in the Eggo. Wow.
In the pudding.
So Bonnie, let's start with Bonnie first because I want to hear it's even though it's still Tuesday, we normally do this on a Monday. But tell me about your Easter. Tell me about what you guys had for dinner and stuff like that.
Well, Evan, we were able to get out of town. And,
Okay.
Normally we wouldn't with the coronavirus going on.
Right.
But it is immediate family who we were with. And I
Uh-huh.
got to say, I went to Volusia County for it. And, throughout the whole time, I wasn't around more than maybe 4 or 5 people. And
Was
that
there a
was
lot of
family
traffic?
only.
Was there a lot of traffic on the road?
Amazingly, yesterday coming out of DeLand, there was like a lot of traffic out there for a Monday.
Okay.
And Gary even asked, where are all these people going? I'm like, Monday, maybe people are, getting back to work.
Mhm.
But we're thinking, all of these people. There was I think Orange County, the county next door to it.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure there was a mandatory, you must wear your mask everywhere in that county.
Really?
Yeah. For Volusia County, they didn't have that yet, but they were kind of afraid that it was coming. I think they have a few more cases than St. Lucie County. I think their cases in that county were up to what I think I heard was maybe 180 or at the 190 mark of the cases.
Let me see. I'm pulling up a map of Florida right now so I could see what's what. Orange County. Let me see here. Data for Orange County. Okay, so you're talking. Were you in Orange County or were you in a county north of Orange County?
North, Volusia.
Okay,
Volusia.
there's Seminole. Let me see here. Lake. Here's Volusia County. Okay, so Volusia County, their stats. They only have 216 cases, which is great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for 216 cases, they had 7 deaths. So I feel in our thoughts and prayers go out to any family that has had to deal with death because of COVID-19. But only 216 cases is great. That's a really low amount.
Yeah, like compared to Port St. Lucie or the St. Lucie County area here on the Treasure Coast, we have the most cases in St. Lucie County with 161 and
Right.
7 deaths.
Right, 7 deaths as well. Now
Yeah.
Martin County has 129 cases with 3 deaths.
Hmm. But I'm
So-
telling you what, if you want to the place to go, if you want to go anywhere just for like a ride to get out of quarantine a little bit,
Yeah.
they have just like nice countryside. In fact, we saw a bear there one year because
Really?
A
it's
bear.
Wow.
yeah, it's Ocala National Forest.
Oh, Ocala's gorgeous.
And
I
yeah,
love Ocala. I've been there before. Is that part of Volusia County? Is that where Ocala is in Volusia?
yeah, Ocala State Forest. It is
Okay.
Volusia County, and
Okay.
we did see a bear run across the road. There's even bear signs for bear crossings there. So
Really?
there's quite a few. I didn't see any
Wow.
this time, but I did see. I was riding on Saturday morning out in the country, and I did see a couple of deer out in a farmer's field.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right.
So
All
just
right.
kind of a nice way, like I said, we enjoyed just with immediate family, and like
Mhm.
I said, there wasn't any time where I was in the number of more than 4 or 5 people, and that was family. So we kept it pretty good. Can't do all the things you want to
I
when
know
we
because
go
you
there.
like to go to the flea market. You told me that.
Yeah, the
And-
springs.
Yeah, the
The
springs and the
springs
flea market.
were even closed,
Wow.
and
They
that's
Now
They
the
even have
springs
some.
are the water, right? Is what you're talking about? The springs? Is
yeah.
that what you mean?
yeah. There's Alexander Springs and Ponce de Leon
Uh-huh.
Springs where we
Right.
go.
Right.
And it's the water is always set, that temperature is always set at 72 degrees, and so the St. Johns River comes through there. I remember at Alexandria they had the caves underneath, and there are scuba divers that
Mhm.
go. I mean, I'm never gonna try to do that, but yeah, they go and they scuba dive through the caves, and it's just like really a beautiful place.
Oh, wow.
And then at Ponce
That's
de
cool.
Leon, they have a restaurant there right at the spring, and you go and you make your own delicious pancakes.
Oh, wow.
So you're
Wait a
swimming.
minute, you make your own food there?
Yeah, you make your own.
They don't have the
pancakes.
cooks. You make it yourself.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
and then you'll
That's
be
neat.
like swimming, or you'll be hanging out on shore, and they'll say like all of a sudden you hear on the intercom, 9 family, your party of 4 is ready. Party of 4 for the 9 family.
Uh-huh.
You can hear it on
Really?
the speaker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It kind of takes me
So-
back to my days of when I went on my first Disney cruise, when I broadcasted my syndicated radio show from the Disney Cruise Line. You walk on the ship and everybody gets this big formal introduction. And on the
Yeah.
microphone throughout the whole ship, you hear, the Disney Cruise Line welcomes the 9 family.
I love
And
it.
then
I know, isn't
everybody
that
erupts
cool?
into an applause. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
I've taken the Disney cruise. It is really cool on those ships.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, Phil, we need to talk because we have a cruise coming up next year in July. Maybe we can coordinate that we can all of us, maybe even Bonnie and Gary join us as well. We're doing a cruise next year on the Royal Caribbean Independence of the Seas in July. And
Yeah.
a little secret, Phil, I
Yeah.
just saved $450 on my cruise because when I rebooked it, they rescheduled it for me. And then I happened to hop online 2 days ago and I saw the price of the cruise dropped $450. So
Wow.
I called up Royal Caribbean and they adjusted the price by $450. So I saved that much money on the
That's
cruise
great.
just
Nice. That's-
by just happened to coincidentally
Oh.
going on RoyalCaribbean.com.
And when you
Nice.
said Royal Caribbean, I
Mhm.
thought expensive right away. I thought super expensive.
No, it's not. For the 3 of us, it was only like $2,200
Oh man.
for the 3 of us for
Yeah.
a 5-day cruise.
Yeah.
And that's
Wow.
everything included. That's all inclusive, everything.
Everything.
And it's a food fest.
And the food, right? Because I know you're not a family of drinkers. Does
Right.
it also include alcoholic
No,
drinks?
You
Oh,
have to purchase they have packages you can purchase. We purchase a soda package, which you buy the cup and then you have unlimited soda throughout the whole entire cruise.
that's the way
But
to
you don't
do
even
it.
need that though, because they give you, water and juice and tea and coffee and all that's included. You're a coffee drinker, so you get unlimited coffee.
Oh wow.
So you'll just be zipping all over the place, But
Well,
maybe you and
well-
Veronique and the kid, and your children can join us when we're going. That would be a lot of fun if you guys could.
Well, right now we're planning our Disney trip this summer already. We already trying to get everything set and ready to go for that if we can get in.
Yeah,
in
well,
June.
big secret,
Yeah.
Phil, you're not going to Disney World this summer.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, this is in June, so we'll see what happens. But
It's not going to happen. I can tell you that.
don't
That's
think
my
so?
prediction. No, I don't think it's going to
Okay.
happen. I
Yeah.
really don't.
I think
Yeah.
Universal even announced they're going to be closed through the whole month of May, so you
Yeah.
can't even go to Universal.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
That's why we canceled. Our cruise was not till July of this year. And then
Yeah.
Rachel and I just made the conscious decision to postpone it for a year till July of next year. That gives a whole year for all this, I'm going to just say the C word, all this crap to go away.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one.
Yeah, that's one. That's one. Bonnie, would you mark the slate over there, please? That's one.
That's one. You
That's
can
why I
only
need to
say
get
it
a white. I'm
37
gonna
and a half
I'm gonna
times.
get a whiteboard, Bonnie. Okay, and we're gonna put a whiteboard over
Yeah.
by Bonnie where she sits. We're gonna get rid of the happy birthday thing, and we're gonna put a whiteboard up on the wall. And then Bonnie's gonna have like this little chart, and she's gonna keep tabs each day.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many times I say the C word, and we'll have a running total for the whole entire
That-
week.
That and babushka.
Yeah, babushka. That's gonna
Yeah,
be the other one.
babushka's the other word. Yeah.
So
And-
Bonnie,
yeah.
you're going to be the gatekeeper of the whiteboard on your side.
And instead of the saying happy birthday, it's going to say crappy birthday now.
There you go.
That's two. By the way,
bad.
that's two.
All right, so Bonnie and I each have a slash mark for the week. All right, very good. 6:20 is the time right now on the Get Up and Go show, and boy, we are off to a running start for a Tuesday. Let me tell you, when Bonnie's back, because just all hell breaks loose.
Oh,
in
I
this
don't
show. No, I'm just kidding. With much love, we say that, though, Bonnie. It's time for news. Let's head over to the news desk, where Bonnie is standing by with the latest headlines this morning. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning to you, Evan. And we start out with the coronavirus cases at a glance throughout counties. The number of confirmed cases in Indian River County are at 77 with 1 death. In St. Lucie County, number of confirmed cases include 161 with 7 deaths. Here in Martin County, 129 confirmed coronavirus cases and 3 deaths. And the coronavirus death toll in Florida is now at 499. The Department of Health is reporting more than 21,000 confirmed cases. Florida's deadliest day for the coronavirus could be later than previously thought. Scientists from the University of Washington now say the most deaths in Florida could come on May 3rd. Earlier, they predicted the deadliest day would be a week from today. Governor Ron DeSantis is updating the state's preparations for possible COVID-19 outbreaks in nursing homes.
While we've been early and aggressive by implementing screening protocols and prohibiting visitation, testing remains an effective tool to identify an outbreak early and to mitigate any spreading of the virus.
DeSantis is directing the Florida National Guard to create additional strike teams to ramp up testing at assisted living and long-term care facilities. State leaders are looking at some encouraging data when it comes to hospitalizations for COVID-19. That may suggest the curve is flattening. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Scott Rivkees is stressing the need to stay vigilant.
Again, wish to emphasize the importance of avoiding crowds. 6-foot spacing, if we are going to be in gatherings, should be less than 10 individuals. We should all consider wearing a mask in public in the event that some of us are asymptomatic spreaders.
Dr. Rivkees says until there is a vaccine, which is a while off, we need to continue to protect ourselves. Floridians thrown out of work by the pandemic are having a tough time dealing with the state unemployment system, but Governor Ron DeSantis said the money is starting to go out.
There have been claims paid, and there's a lot in the hopper right now, and people are working hard. And as you know, we've got a lot of hands on deck for this at this point, and that will, I think, really help us a lot.
DeSantis says more Floridians filed for benefits in the past 3 weeks than during all of 2019. Officials in the Central Florida County are removing the penalties from their new mask ordinance. Violators in Osceola County had faced fines and possible jail time, but officials worried the penalties would turn Osceola into a police state and possibly expose inmates to the coronavirus. And the Treasury Department said nearly 80 million Americans will get their coronavirus stimulus payment this week, and most eligible Americans will get their payments in the next 2 weeks. Payments will be up to $1,200 for qualifying individuals, $2,400 for married couples, and $500 for each qualifying child. And amid the coronavirus crisis, the bell is still ringing for professional wrestling in Orlando. World Wrestling Entertainment has now been deemed an essential business. This means the company can keep operating at the WWE Performance Center despite other businesses being forced to close. News time is 6:24. Weather and traffic together are next.
$6:25 is the time of the Get Up and Go show. It's time for traffic and weather together. All brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Bonnie?
There is an accident. It's way down by Palm Beach area on I-95 southbound. It's at Palm Lakes Boulevard. There's a vehicle crash with injuries in that area, not showing any roadblock. Up here in Martin County, no accidents, no slowdowns right here. There's your latest look at traffic. It's 74 in Stewart, 74 also in Port St. Lucie. Here's our forecast at WPTV.
This morning here on the Treasure Coast, it is very warm and humid along the coast and slightly cooler inland with breezy southerly winds. This afternoon, possible record-breaking high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Partly sunny skies, breezy winds out of the south-southeast, and a few strong thunderstorms moving from west to east are possible during the afternoon and early evening hours.
Mornings are better with the Get Up and Go Show with Evan and Bonnie on WSTU.
My band sounds so good, doesn't it? You like the band there in the background,
Yeah, it takes me back to the days of Johnny Carson.
right?
And
I was about ready to say it's very classic Tonight Show-ish.
Yeah,
you know?
I hired
Yeah.
do you like the new band that I hired, Phil?
Yes. Who's the band leader, by the way?
I don't know. I've never met the guy before. I don't know. I didn't actually get a chance to meet them because, you know, when they came in, they had to go through the rigorous process of getting, sanitized out in the lobby area.
With
Outside,
foam.
they all got hosed down with foam and cleansing, and all their instruments got bleached and wiped down. I had my mask on yesterday when they came in. They
Yeah.
came into the studio and they were all wearing masks with little holes cut out for the mouthpiece so they could blow their horns. And then they played all the little things for me. I recorded everything, and then they left and I put everything together, and voila, now we have live band sounds.
yeah,
See, you should do what I do. I made my dog my band leader on my show.
Yeah, but
So-
it would be very rough.
Hey-oh. Hit that rim shot. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. I don't know. How did you hear that rim shot when I have my headphones on?
I can hear it through your headphones.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. All right. Just want to make sure. All right. Okay. Hello.
Hey-oh.
So anyway, that was that. But yeah, I'm pleased. I'm very happy with the new band. I wanted to surprise Bonnie with the new band and
Yeah.
everything. So
we even hose down the band, and I look forward to coming here every morning just to get hosed down with foam.
yeah, it's like going through the car wash.
It is.
You know, you go outside. Do you want the undercarriage sprayed, or do you want the high shine gloss?
Undercarriage sprayed.
Well, they do offer that at the car wash. You know, you
I
get your
bet, yeah.
undercarriage sprayed. So I mean, why not? It's just get the whole thing. You know, do you want the entry level, the middle, or do you want the Mac Daddy? I tell them out in the lobby, just give me the Mac Daddy, include the undercarriage spray, and I'm good to go. Why not? What have I got to lose? Which one do you pick, Bonnie?
Oh, the pressure washer.
You do the pressure one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like them.
Okay. All right.
Simple.
All right.
I still get kind of fearful when I go through a car wash. It gets me a little. You're claustrophobic, so you get a little bit claustrophobic
Well, I don't sit
during
in
that.
the car.
Oh.
I don't sit in the car. I
Okay.
get out of the car.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The only place that you sit in the car is like over at Sam's when you get gas and they have the car wash, so you sit in the car. But when I go to the other car washes, like the one that's on US 1 in Port St. Lucie Boulevard or in St. Lucie West, that's over by the stadium, you get out of the car and then they just take your car and it just goes and you sit up front and you wait.
Yeah.
And then you have the guy waving the keys and they're yelling, maroon colored Explorer or yellow Mustang or whatever.
That's
it
what I
is.
go to. There's one
know.
similar to that where I live
Yeah.
here too.
That's
Yeah, so-
perfect, and you can get like the star package and the different
They
packages.
have different packages. Yeah.
Yeah.
They start at like usually $12-13 and it goes all the way up to like $100 depending on what you want.
Gary's got a guy that comes over and washes. He has a car service that I think he got into,
Oh, like a detail business.
paying like some 25 maybe or more a month for it, and they'll come and do his car like twice a month.
What?
So that's been
For
happening.
$25 a month? I
It
need
might,
that guy's phone number.
maybe
Yeah, right.
it might be a little more than what maybe he is paying a little more for it.
Okay. I need that guy's phone number though.
Yeah,
Get it from Gary. If you
I'll
can.
get it for you.
All right.
And
I'd appreciate that. I want to call the guy.
he's been waxing too sometime and does a really nice job.
Oh,
So-
okay.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wash and a wax. Okay.
Heck
Very
yeah.
nice. All right.
Yeah, man, I'm
let's-
there.
So am I. Let's talk a little bit about videos right now that are going viral. There's a viral video about a decapitated Easter bunny. Okay. Now, it's not what you're thinking. It's not what you're thinking. Okay. It's not what you guys are thinking. All right. Let me read into this. Okay. The video that has gone viral of an Easter bunny lost its head during a drive-by parade in Margate, New Jersey on Saturday. Now, a firefighter was wearing the costume, waving to the kids from the back of the truck when a low tree branch knocked the head off the Easter bunny and sent it down to the street. The poor kids The poor kids. I've never heard Phil laugh this hard before. The poor kids are devastated.
No.
Wait. Here, hold on. I'm playing the audio. Hold on. Watch. There was. There went. Right? There, it just, the guy just went. Wait, you have to see this again, Bonnie. Watch. 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 There's the Easter Bunny head. Watch. Boom. Wow.
Oh. You know, it's a good thing they didn't have like a parade of kids like following it, or the
Right?
kids would have been stepping on the bunny's head.
I mean, that's
And
pure
kicking it
devastation.
around.
The nightmares that those poor children must be having now.
Oh,
Wow.
poor Easter bunny.
Yes.
Was this before the Easter bunny came? Was this
This is
before
Saturday.
Easter?
This was Saturday before Easter.
Yeah, so
And then the poor
Oh,
kids
wow.
must have thought, wow, Easter's canceled now. They're not getting nothing.
Easter's canceled. Sorry about that.
Sorry, but the bunny lost its head. Wow. That's great.
oh, you could see little girls crying and stuff.
Oh, my Lord. I mean, even
That's
probably
great.
parents, they're probably devastated.
It reminds
Yeah,
me
right?
of Bad Santa, when Bad Santa comes out with who was the guy that played Bad Santa? Billy Bob
Yeah,
Thornton.
Billy
and
Bob Thornton. Yeah.
then he gets out of the vehicle, and little kids are like looking out of their porches and windows and stuff, and Santa Claus gets mauled by police officers and is being arrested.
There's a viral video of a little girl that's very upset that she can't go to Starbucks. Now, the question is, are you missing Starbucks during these quarantine times? Well, I'm sure a lot of people are. So is this little girl, and she spends close to a minute trying to convince her dad to change his mind about staying inside, and he doesn't. Let's listen in.
No, we're staying here. We can't. We're in quarantine. We need to stay here. No, we can't. We gotta stay at home.
Well, she's pretty much bent on going to Starbucks. That's all she does. She's arguing
Yeah.
with her dad.
She's very adamant about it.
Yes.
And yeah, my tweens, Topanga and her girlfriends, many Saturdays I've taken the young girls, gotta go to Starbucks. The kids love it.
What is it about Starbucks that the kids like so much? I don't understand.
It's those
Get that, yeah.
it's those kind of like dessert like drinks that they're
The
giving.
lattes or whatever. Is it the
Exact-
lattes?
I think so, exactly. And
I would figure Dunkin' Donuts would be more popular because of the donuts and the frozen drinks and stuff like that.
Right?
yeah,
With the kids.
and I
Yeah.
think Starbucks too was serving weren't they serving like the pops or some kind of popsicle cakes too? And those pop cakes are really popular with the kids also.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
Never
Yeah.
heard of that. Never heard of, what are they
It's-
called?
I think they're cake pops, something like that. Cake pops.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the kids are just kind of like loving them. Very popular with them right now.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Very good. I've got some facts I wanted to go over with you guys as we usually do around this time of the morning. Some did you know stuff and get your guys' take on these things. Did you know that 44% think that taking a long hot shower instantly puts them in a good mood?
Mhm.
Bonnie, does that put you in a good mood?
Yeah, it's
Long
like
hot shower?
it's my favorite.
Phil?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not me.
Yes.
Not me. I just want in and out.
Is it a cold shower for you, Evan?
No,
Or is
definitely
it-
not a
no.
cold shower. What are you implementing? Come on. It's
Well-
a family show.
Implementing or insinuating?
Insinuating. Yeah, there you go. Insinuating.
That's
Thank you.
it. You're
Cold.
welcome.
Tell me I need a cold
Implementing.
shower. I need to calm down.
Well, there
Okay.
are some hot afternoons to come.
Yeah.
Hot weather has arrived.
Yeah, I'll just jump
Yes.
in my pool. That's
Yeah,
all.
there you go.
Did you guys know that on average, we buy a new cell phone about every year and a half? Phil, do you do that?
You know what I do? I wait till they stop supporting the phone. In other words,
Okay.
no more updates for it. That's what I do. Then
So that
that's
means
how I
you
go.
still have your flip phone.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Bonnie?
Exactly.
How about you? What do you do as far as the cell phone goes?
That old Motorola.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
brick.
the razor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Bonnie, do you buy a new phone about every year and a half?
Maybe about every 2 years or so.
Okay.
It's more than a year and a half.
I'm guilty of not even waiting that long. I have to have the latest and greatest. So when the new thing comes out, I'm like one of those first people in line
Yeah.
that have to wait.
Do you go to,
Oh,
have
wow.
you done I think last year, wasn't there maybe a few years ago, there was a Black Friday phone out.
I don't remember. I'm not sure.
Was it the iPhone? It might have been the 7 that was coming out, and you could see people waiting in line like early in the
I will
morning.
tell you this much. I am guilty. One year when one of the new iPhones came out, I went to the AT&T store in St. Lucie West, and I camped out all night long.
You did not.
Because I'll be darned, I was going to be the first person in line to get that phone.
You did that?
Yes,
you
I
actually
did.
that before?
And get this, they only had 5 phones in the store. Everything else had to be pre-ordered, and I was one of the first 5 people.
that does not surprise me.
Yes.
I'm guilty of when they released the Nintendo Mini. I was like second in line. for
Really?
it. And there was a line for it at Toys R Us when Toys R Us was still around.
And
this
you
was
were
like
there?
2 or 3 years ago, and I was there. I actually got
Wow.
up like at 4 a.m, and there were already people there waiting for it.
Wow.
And a
And yeah,
long,
that's how big it was. Yeah.
long time ago was people were getting in line for the Xbox 360.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
That
that
was-
was
I
like
remember
10
that.
years ago. Yeah.
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 Did
Yep.
you guys know that 1 out of every 3 American adults admit that they haven't made a crank phone call since high school?
Yeah.
Phil, when's the last time you made a crank call?
It's been a long time, but what I like to do is play with the telemarketers who call me.
Oh yeah,
That's
I do
what
that all day. I do that all day, all
yeah.
day long. Bonnie, do you get
Yeah.
those calls? Have you ever got one of those calls from somebody that's like from the IRS or somebody telling you that
Thank
it's pre-recorded?
thank God I haven't.
No?
I haven't gotten one of those.
Oh,
No.
you don't know what you're in for.
Um,
Boy, oh boy.
yeah. All I get is I know, like, if I go to sign up for something at the mall
Mhm.
and try to win something, I do get a call from the water softener people
Mhm.
to come to my home, and they want to sell me a water
They
softener.
want to soften your water.
and they,
They also want to soften your bank account too because they want your money.
Yeah.
for like how
Exactly.
many years are you paying on that? Then
Yeah.
I made a prank call when I was a kid.
Oh, let's hear it.
So my
Here we go.
my cousin Keith and Donna lived in another town, the town that was like maybe 7 miles away.
Okay.
So I put a little cloth. I was on my grandma's phone, and I put a little cloth over the phone,
Mhm.
and I called up.
Try to disguise your voice.
Yeah, I called up Keith, and I said, "Hi, Keith. This is Donna.
Mhm.
Can you come over?"
Okay.
Pretending to be her. He's like, "Wait a minute. Let me go ask my parents."
Okay. So now, did the guy show up at Donna's house
I don't know.
and knock on the door? Wow. I wouldn't have want to be Donna at that time or Keith,
Yeah. Right.
especially if Donna's parents answered the door.
Oh.
Who the heck are you,
I-
kid?
I got a phone call about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The lady called up and she goes, "Hey," and I went, "Hi." She goes, "I'm ready for you to come over." And I went,
What?
"Oh,"
What?
I went, "Really?" I go, "Well, what time?" She goes, "Anytime you want to." And I went, "Oh, okay." I go, "Well, you might want to give me your address again." You know,
Did the phone number show up on the caller ID?
Yeah, but no name. You know,
That's
it's
all
just
right. You got the phone number. I'll take the number. I'll call her up. I'll call her up from one of my spoof numbers and I'll
And
say,
so then-
"Hi, are you ready to come over?"
So then, and then I go, "By the way, what's your name?" And then she went, "Come on." And I went, "For real, what's your name?" She goes, "Wait, do I have the wrong number?" I went, "Yeah." And she went, "Oh, I am so sorry, but just delete my phone number, please." And she hung up. And that was
Really?
it.
And how long
Yeah.
ago was this?
This is about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, Phil, I so wish that you had kept that number because I would have called that number live on the air and blocked our phone number and put her on the spot. And I would have done
Yeah.
a crank call to her live on the radio.
Oh wow.
If you ever
You
get
can-
calls like that again, please.
Yeah, I've had that once or twice. I had to text like that one time too.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
That's a strange one.
I used to do when I was younger, I used to call people up and ask them, "Hi, I'm the Maytag man. Is your refrigerator running?" and they'd say yes, and then I'd say, well, go catch it.
You better go catch it.
Yeah. I used to do
Oh,
stuff
boy.
like that, the old corny ones.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that according to a recent survey of millennials, 12% say going to the zoo is a great date idea? So I guess millennials think that taking your significant other
Mhm.
or out on a date for the first time, going to the zoo is a great date. Bonnie, what are your thoughts on that?
If it's Lion Country Safari, hey, I'm on that date. I'm there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, Phil, what are your thoughts?
I think that's a good idea because one, it's if it's a first date, it's in public,
Okay.
and you can walk around like the Palm Beach Zoo or something like that and talk and get to know each other. You actually got a restaurant there, so you can have lunch together. You know, it's not a bad idea.
A couple of
Mhm.
hot
So-
dogs?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
so
All right.
why not?
I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know about the zoo. I would
Yeah.
maybe more kind of like go to a park and kind of do a whole picnic type thing. But
Yeah.
just to go look at wild animals, I don't know. I'm a little different.
Maybe you're the kind of person who would go sit on the beach and watch the waves and, sit down with that person.
That's actually very relaxing. I went through a I don't even know if Phil knows this. I went through a little bit of a dark time in my life where I was really depressed at one time in my life. And there was a book that I read called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of that book before.
And
Phil?
I think
No.
I've heard of it.
No,
Yeah, it's a really good inspirational book, and it really it helped me a lot to get through the dark time in my life. And then before I would go to work, I would go sit at the beach for like a half hour,
Wow.
45 minutes, and I would read the book and just, kind of zen a little bit at the beach by myself. I found an area that I could go every morning where it was just very quiet. Nobody was around. Nobody bothered me. And I was able to overcome, through the help of professional help as well, I was able to overcome what I was going through at
Right.
the time. So it was it was kind of a really unique experience.
Sometimes you need something like that just to relieve that anxiety.
Yeah.
Because, like, the bloody battle is anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
It's okay, and you can handle it when they're separate, but
Mhm.
when they come together at once, it's
Yeah.
like been there.
Yeah,
and
they're demons and they're not good. They weren't good
Yeah.
demons, but we're talking like over 20 years ago this happened to me. But I'm in a much, obviously you could tell, I'm not nuts,
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm definitely in a much better place in my life right now.
and we are relieved to hear.
Yes.
We are.
6:46 is the time right now on the Get Up and Go show. It's time for news once again. Let's head over to the news desk where Bonnie is standing by with the latest headlines. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning, Evan. Through the counties, coronavirus cases at a glance. The number confirmed in Martin County are at 129, with 3 deaths reported. In St. Lucie County, 161 confirmed coronavirus cases and 7 deaths. And up in Indian River County, 77 confirmed coronavirus cases with 1 death, Indian River County. The coronavirus death toll in Florida is now at 499. The Department of Health is reporting more than 21,000 confirmed cases. Florida's deadliest day for the coronavirus could be later than previously thought. Scientists from the University of Washington now say the most deaths in Florida could come on May 3rd. Earlier, they predicted the deadliest day would be a week from today. Governor Ron DeSantis is updating the state's preparations for possible COVID-19 outbreaks in nursing homes.
While we have been early and aggressive by implementing screening protocols and prohibiting visitation, testing remains an effective tool to identify an outbreak early and to mitigate any spreading of the virus.
DeSantis is directing the Florida National Guard to create additional strike teams to ramp up testing at assisted living and long-term care facilities. State leaders are looking at some encouraging data when it comes to hospitalizations for COVID-19 that may suggest the curve is flattening. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Scott Rivkees is stressing the need to stay vigilant.
Again, wish to emphasize the importance of avoiding crowds. 6-foot spacing, if we are going to be in gatherings, should be less than 10 individuals. We should all consider wearing a mask in public in the event that some of us are asymptomatic spreaders.
Floridians thrown out of work by the pandemic are having a tough time dealing with the state unemployment system. But Governor Ron DeSantis said the money is starting to go out.
There have been claims paid, and there's a lot in the hopper right now, and people are working hard. And as you know, we've got a lot of hands on deck for this at this point, and that will, I think, really help us a lot.
DeSantis says more Floridians filed for benefits in the past 3 weeks than during all of 2019. A 19-year-old high school student and his mother in Port St. Lucie are among those battling the coronavirus on the Treasure Coast. The young man's mother said Monday her son, Jose, is being transferred from the Cleveland Clinic Tradition Hospital in Port St. Lucie to Lawnwood Hospital in Fort Pierce, while she continues her own battle with the coronavirus. Jose is a special needs student at St. Lucie West Centennial High School. His mother, Rosie, said her son is a very happy young man who loves to go to school. She says she has no complaints about him as he keeps his room neat and organized. For the past few years, Jose's been one of a number of special needs students in St. Lucie County, taking part in the Student Perks job training program. Martha Taylor is the job coach who works with the students. Rosie said her son and the mother of a woman who lives with them in Port St. Lucie all were diagnosed with coronavirus in recent days. Rosie said during these tough times, she's put things in God's hands right now and remains confident that they will all come out of this doing well in the future. Across our area, as coronavirus cases continue to rise, every county has also seen an increase in domestic violence. The coronavirus is not making people commit domestic violence, said Tom Bacadell, Chief Assistant State Attorney for 19th Judicial Court. My guess is it has exposed what has already been transpiring in our community behind closed doors. Bacadell's circuit includes Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River, and Okeechobee counties. Well, Carolina's Christian McCaffrey's new 4-year, $64 million deal, and more than half of the new money on that contract is guaranteed. So why did Carolina do it? For a couple of reasons. One, they view him as more than just a back, and that's backed up by the 303 catches he has over his first 3 years in the pros. And two, he's earned it as one of the team's best players. He's carried a heavy load his first 3 years and has consistently been one of the team's hardest workers and best leaders. News time is 6:51. Weather and traffic together are next.
$6:53 the time of the Get Up and Go show. It's time for traffic and weather together, all brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Bonnie?
Well, the roads are clear right here on this Tuesday morning. We're not seeing any accidents right now from FHP in our area. Roads are clear. There's your latest look at traffic. Kind of a mild morning at 75 in Stuart, 74 in Port St. Lucie. Here's our forecast at WPTV.
This morning here on the Treasure Coast, it is very warm and humid along the coast and slightly cooler inland with breezy southerly winds. This afternoon, possible record-breaking high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Partly sunny skies, breezy winds out of the south-southeast, and a few strong thunderstorms moving from west to east are possible during the afternoon and early evening hours.
Let's get back to the Get Up and Go show. Here's Evan and Bonnie.
6:57 again. Once again, the band struck up and they delivered once again with that little riff there, Bonnie. Right?
They play on. And
I like that.
sounding oh so good and refreshing.
I definitely like that.
I like
Phil,
it.
we need to get your band in here one day when all this stuff settles down.
I'll have Snowy here with her piano, and she'll play some good tunes.
Can Snowy possibly lead the band for us?
She's the band leader on my show, so I don't see why not.
All right.
All
right.
She should be, because she has 4 little hands, not 2 like we mere humans do.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be rough around the edges.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. What can I say?
Hey-o.
Hey-o. Hey, did you guys know, according to careerbuilder.com, employer fashion pet peeves are number 1 an unironed shirt, and number 2, sneakers, and number 3, flip flops. Those are employer pet peeves.
Employer pet peeves.
So in other words,
Mhm.
the employer's the number one pet peeve with an employer is an unironed shirt. If your
Yeah.
shirt's unironed, that's the number one thing. Number 2 is wearing sneakers to work, and number 3 is wearing flip flops.
Yeah, you don't want to wear that crinkly T-shirt to work.
Well, is my
Yeah.
shirt okay? I mean, it's
It's
not
good.
crinkly, and you're fine. You have the right amount of polka dots on your shirt. All right, Phil, you can see she has her polka dotted shirt on today.
Yes. I like when she wears the polka dot.
Yes,
Thank you.
actually.
I do.
We don't
Yeah.
see what Phil is wearing, however.
No, well, you don't want to see what Phil's
No,
wearing.
you don't want to
this time
see
of the
that.
morning.
No.
For all I know, he could be sitting there in his birthday suit. We don't want to. That's why we don't turn the video on this early in the morning.
If my wife throws up in her mouth,
Yeah,
so you don't want to see it.
That's not good. Hey, did you guys know that a recent study shows that 4% of men still write love letters to their wives? Okay, so Bonnie, no disrespect, I'm going to exclude you on this one because you have Gary as your significant other. You don't have a wife. So
Dear
Phil, I'm
Veronique.
tossing. I'm tossing
Dear
to you, Phil.
Veronique, how I love you. When I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah. So do you write love letters to your wife?
I have left little
All right.
love notes.
All
yes.
right. Stand by. We got to run. We're WSTU Stewart. We're Martin County's Heritage Station. The news is up next.
On air, online, covering the Treasure Coast. Get connected to the Get Up and Go Show. And now here's your host, Evan and Bonnie.
.707 Get Up and Go Show. Of course, we have the band playing in the background. I like the guy that's playing the keyboards there, Bonnie. I don't know about you.
I'm hearing the trumpet too,
Yeah,
and it's clean.
yeah. Very clean.
You should get that girl that you know to come on up here with that saxophone.
Oh, Debbie. Yeah, Debbie. Debbie Taft. She's a good friend of mine.
Would be fun. That would be like a lot of fun to hear her play, and
I could call her this early in the morning. She'd probably be ticked off at me.
maybe I don't think her saxophone is awake yet.
I'm hoping Phil's still there with us. There he is.
Yeah, I'm still here. Hello.
Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't chime in there at all.
Yeah, you won't get rid of me that easy.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But the band just plays on, and you hear them playing in the background.
Yeah.
They're doing their thing. You got a saxophone, you got a trombone, a tuba, a flute, a drummer.
We need to get Doc Severinsen in here.
Oh,
That's what
that
we
would
need
be the Doc Severinsen band.
Yeah.
to do.
I'd have to pay a lot of money for that. That's
There
not
you
in the
go.
morning show budget. These guys just keep playing.
And it makes me feel like we should wear something with like a lot of sequins, like Cher used to do on Sonny and Cher.
Hey, maybe we should have dress up day on the Get Up and Go show. What do you think about that one, Bonnie?
Oh, that would be like fun.
Like I would come in like in I'd wear a tux to work one morning, and you would wear like a formal dress.
I could probably
Get
get
all
in
duded up
to some of
or
that
spiffed
action.
up, and then this way the listeners could see us all dressed up and all pimped out.
Yep. I don't have a formal dress anymore, like a prom dress.
Okay.
I have several dresses in my
Do
closet.
you have a cocktail dress?
Maybe, I don't know, one that might.
I do.
You wait a minute. Hold it. You have a cocktail dress?
Yes, I have a cocktail dress. I only wear it on special occasions.
Okay. Are you dipping into Veronique's wardrobe there, Phil?
And yeah, I break in there. Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Wow. That's I didn't expect that one. Stand by. It's time for birthdays, anniversaries, and back in the day. And yesterday I turned to Gavin and I said, you go first. And he wished himself a happy birthday.
Yes.
A week early.
Oh, that's
because
great.
yesterday was
Of
the
course he did.
7-day mark. So he has this little counter on his Instagram now that counts down the days and the hours to his birthday.
And I'm sure he's anticipating something very exciting for his birthday.
He ain't getting squat. That's all I got to say. He'll get the dinner of his choice. He'll get a little birthday cake.
Yeah.
And his brother has decided to stay an extra week with us instead of going
Wow.
back down to Miami.
It's full house.
Yeah, so literally full house. Speaking of full house, we subscribed to Netflix the other day.
Yeah.
Oh,
And-
wow.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow. No wonder it hasn't rained yet.
Yes, exactly. We subscribe to Netflix, or should I say the wife subscribed to Netflix.
Yeah.
And there's a series that I watched on Netflix. It's called The Big Show.
Is it good? Is
Oh,
this a good one?
show.
Beyond good.
It's called The Big
It's
Show.
called The Big Show. It has to do with WWE superstar The Big Show.
Okay.
It's 8 episodes, and I binge watched all 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I watched the first 3 with my wife, and then I watched episodes 4 through 8 in my office. Wife got a little upset because I didn't watch it with her.
That we go through that too, because
Yeah.
like we've been watching Breaking Bad and
Yeah.
like love those episodes, but
Yeah.
like sometimes I'll fall asleep and I'll get a little upset because then
Yeah.
Gary wants to watch episodes
Well,
ahead.
now the wife is watching Fuller House.
Liking it?
Yeah, she's loving it.
Yeah.
I can't get
Really?
her. I can't get her away from the TV.
Fuller House
Wow.
with the kids all in the house growing up and
Yeah.
and an older John Stamos.
Yeah,
He's not sporting any gray hair though yet in
No.
there.
I have to. I have to sit and I sit in my
Right.
office and I do my work, and I kind of wait for the wife to leave the room.
Yeah.
And then I see the TV on and nobody's there. So I snag the remote and then I kind of commandeer the TV.
You know, Netflix is a funny thing. You just get hooked on Netflix shows.
Yeah.
And there, I saw an article this morning that said something like 16% of Americans would rather stay home and be able to watch Netflix all day than for things to get back to normal and
Yeah.
go back to work.
Exactly.
16.
Exactly.
There's a good cooking show on there called Nailed It.
Are you insinuating that I don't know how to cook?
No, I didn't say that. I
Okay,
just
just
said
wanna
there's
make
a
sure.
good cooking show
Okay.
on.
Well, I just want to make sure you're not insinuating that Bonnie and I can't cook, because Bonnie does make a mean what is it that Gary likes?
Lasagna.
Lasagna, yes, a lasagna.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
But it's about regular people like you and I tried to do these fancy cakes.
Okay.
And
Oh.
the results are just hilarious.
Um,
It's different than all these other baking shows and all that other stuff, and it's actually quite humorous and quite fun to watch.
Oh,
But
speaking of cakes, on Groundhog Day, what I did with seriously, I had a house full of kids, and I think Groundhog Day was on a Saturday like 2 years ago. So I had these little girls sleeping, you know, at my house. So what I had them do was I said, "You're going to make a cake, and you're going to make the cake into a groundhog for me." And seriously, they made this big white cake with the fancy picture of this groundhog with the eyes. And they just got like really, really creative with it. And in that show, I suppose it shows how fun it can be being creative with the cakes.
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Hey, Phil, I'm completely
Cake in your face.
Yeah, cake in your face. Yeah. Yeah. Phil,
Hold on. Babushka. There
Yeah,
you go. That's
babushka.
changed things right there. There you go.
Phil, I happen to have I managed to commandeer a band in here for you, and I wanted to just let you hear a little bit of what they wanted to play for you. So just listen
Okay.
up if you would.
Yeah. The old Tonight Show theme.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
the old Tonight Show theme.
Yeah.
So I thought you'd
That's
like
what-
that. I commandeered
what-
them.
That's when theme songs, you actually recognize the theme song from a show.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
exactly.
it's all kind of bland on these theme songs and everything.
I
else,
thought
so.
we were going to hear a top 10 with that. Or
No.
is that coming up
That's
later?
coming up in the 8:00 hour.
A little bit later.
No,
Yeah,
that
we-
would be more of a monologue, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyway, let's get back on track here. Birthdays and anniversaries. Bonnie, anybody you want to wish a happy birthday to?
To Gavin, a happy
Okay.
early birthday.
All right, very
Yeah.
good. You know what I might do? I might take that banner home and recycle it and put it up in my house.
And why not?
You know, that's a
It's-
great idea. What are your thoughts? Would you mind if I did that?
Not at all.
Are you
And-
sure?
Yeah. In fact, Deb didn't take it down yet. And I don't think she would mind at all if you did so either.
Yeah, I
Evan.
think it's seen better days.
Yeah.
We've pretty much destroyed that thing.
I keep backing on into it with my
I know.
chair.
You know that Bonnie keeps backing that chair up, as they say.
Yeah, with my Bonnie bumpers.
The Bonnie bumpers. So Abigail Breslin from Chanel No. 5, Scream Queens, is 24. Skylar Samuels, 26. That's the telepathic Frost sisters on The Gifted. I've never heard of that. Have you, Bonnie?
I haven't heard of that one. Might
Okay.
be on Netflix.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sarah Michelle Gellar is 43. I don't know who that is. Either of
Buffy.
you?
Buffy.
Buffy the
okay.
Vampire Slayer.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Very good. All right. Adrian Brody's 47. That's King Kong, Predators, and The Pianist. Anthony Michael Hall is 52. That's the 80s superstar from
Wow.
16 Candles.
Oh, he will always be the little boy in Vacation.
yeah.
The first Vacation episode.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Greg Maddux is 54 years old today.
Great
That's the
pitcher.
retired Major League Baseball pitching legend.
Yes.
Robert Carlyle is 59. That's Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time. Brad Garrett is 60. That's the 6'8" Robert Barone on Everybody Loves Raymond.
He's pretty big, but 6'8".
6'8".
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No wonder why he towered way, way, way above Deborah on that show.
Uh-huh.
And the mother.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Richie Blackmore, 75 years old today, former Deep Purple guitarist and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
How old?
75.
Wow. From Deep Purple,
Yep,
right?
Yep. The all-time hits king in baseball. All-time hits king. You know who that is, right, Bonnie?
Might be Pete Rose.
Yes, it is. He's 79 years old.
Wow, that's
I was in
fascinating.
Vegas a couple of years ago when I was doing my syndicated show, and I was walking through Caesar's Palace. They have this big mall. You ever been to Vegas before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in Caesar's Palace, they have this big, long shopping mall, and in the shopping mall is a memorabilia store. So I'm walking down in the archives or the bowels of Caesar Palace where the shops are, and who's sitting at a table hawking autographs?
Uh-huh.
Pete Rose.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I read an article a couple of years ago where you could win this package to go and have dinner or lunch with Pete Rose in Vegas.
Right.
Like, I don't know if he's earning some extra money with it because the package is, might be kind of pricey, like in the $5,000 range or something.
You could ask him the obvious question. Well, Pete, did you or didn't you? Just kind of leave it at that.
I met Pete Rose.
Did you did you meet him in Boca or in Boynton? Because I know that
I met him in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Of all places. Yeah. A friend of mine knew him, and he knew Cal Ripken Jr. and Sr. He grew up with the Ripkens.
Okay. He used to own Pete Rose's Ballpark Cafe in Boca and Boynton.
Yes.
And a good friend of mine was the general manager. So going back to the story about when I saw him, I walked up to him and I said, hey, I remember when you used to own these restaurants down in Boca and Boynton, and you used to broadcast your radio show from there. And I'm actually good friends with your former general manager. And as soon as I mentioned her name, he just opened up to me like I was his best friend.
Oh boy.
I name dropped.
Oh, that's cool.
And I got a free autograph out of it.
There you go.
I didn't have to pay.
Oh,
that was the best
that's
part.
cool. I don't want to ask a stupid question.
No question is stupid.
Did he play for the Philadelphia Phillies at one time, or what?
Yes, he did.
He did. He played for the Phillies, and he played for the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay.
Yep.
He was even the manager for the Cincinnati Reds at one point.
Yep, sure was.
Wow.
Yeah.
And played
That's
at
a
the
great
same
question,
time.
actually, Bonnie.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I saw a picture of him for some reason with the red Phillies cap on at one time.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
You know what else is today? Do you have any idea, Bonnie?
Today is
It's a day I don't like. I can tell you that.
Well, April 14.
Yeah, it's a day I definitely don't like. I don't know how Phil feels about this, but it's National Ex-Spouse Day.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't feel too good about that day.
Oh, I wish you could feel better about it.
Yeah, I personally don't like that day.
Can I get her on the phone?
Send her.
No.
Send my ex-wife.
We're not calling
today.
We're not calling ex-wife number 2 or ex-wife number 1. Sorry, not going to happen.
I thought I could soften the relationship up for the both of you a little bit.
Let's just say if we dialed that number right now, that phone would smoke.
Oh.
Yeah, it would smoke. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to welcome in
texting
George.
my ex-wife.
Are you really?
Texting my ex-wife. Yeah, right now.
Wish her a happy ex-spouse's day.
Yes.
George just joined in on the conversation on Facebook, so I'm sure he'll be calling in shortly, giving his 2 cents on everything. Also, you know what we did yesterday, Bonnie? The old man down the road called in and played a round of Yes or BS with Gavin.
Oh, what fun.
That was interesting, needless to say. And Gavin completely slaughtered the old man.
Did he really now?
Yeah, he completely buried the old man on air.
Oh, wait, we're not going to find that old man down the road anymore. He's slaughtered and slathered.
Well, he's not 6 feet under yet, though.
That's good to know.
7:20 right now. It's news time. Let's head over to the news desk where Bonnie's standing by with the headlines this morning. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning to you, Evan. And the coronavirus death toll in Florida is now at 499. The Department of Health is reporting more than 21,000 confirmed cases. Florida's deadliest day for the coronavirus could be later than previously thought. Scientists from the University of Washington now say the most deaths in Florida could come on May 3rd. Earlier, they predicted the deadliest day would be a week from today. Governor Ron DeSantis is updating the state's preparation.
Remains an effective tool to identify an outbreak early and to mitigate any spreading of the virus.
State leaders are looking at some encouraging data when it comes to hospitalizations for COVID-19 that may suggest the curve is flattening. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Scott Ribkes is stressing the need to stay vigilant.
Again, wish to emphasize the importance of avoiding crowds. 6 foot spacing, if we are going to be in gatherings, should be less than 10 individuals. We should all consider wearing a mask in public in the event that some of us are asymptomatic spreaders.
Dr. Ribkes says until there is a vaccine, which is a while off, we need to continue to protect ourselves. Floridians thrown out of work by the pandemic are having a tough time dealing with the state unemployment system, but Governor Ron DeSantis said the money is starting to go out.
There have been claims paid, and there's a lot in the hopper right now, and people are working hard. And as you know, we've got a lot of hands on deck for this at this point, and that will, I think, really help us a lot.
DeSantis says more Floridians filed for benefits in the past 3 weeks than during all of 2019. The Treasury Department said nearly 80 million Americans will get their coronavirus stimulus payment this week, and most eligible Americans will get their payments in the next 2 weeks. Payments will be up to $1,200 for qualifying individuals, $2,400 for married couples, and $500 for each qualifying child. Port St. Lucie resident Barbara McGrogan was shocked to see a deposit in her bank account on Monday. The payments are a much-needed crutch during times of growing unemployment and job insecurity. The payments are also supposed to help boost the economy. A 19-year-old high school student and his mother in Port St. Lucie are among those battling the coronavirus on the Treasure Coast. The young man's mother said Monday her son Jose is being transferred from the Cleveland Clinic Tradition Hospital in Port St. Lucie to Lawnwood Hospital in Fort Pierce, while she continues her own battle with the coronavirus. Jose is a special needs student at St. Lucie West Centennial High School. His mother, Rosie, said her son is a very happy young man who loves to go to school. She says she has no complaints about him as he keeps his room neat and organized. For the past few years, Jose's been one of a number of special needs students in St. Lucie County, taking part in the Student Perks job training program. Well, across our area, as coronavirus cases continue to rise, every county has also seen an increase in domestic violence. The coronavirus is not making people commit domestic violence, said Tom Bacadell, Chief Assistant State Attorney for the 19th Judicial Court. My guess is it has exposed what has already been transpiring in our community behind closed doors. Bacadell's circuit includes Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River, and Okeechobee counties. Between March 6 and April 6, compared to the same time frame last year, domestic battery cases have increased 18% in Palm Beach County. In the Treasure Coast and Okeechobee counties, domestic violence cases have increased a whopping 79% during that same time frame. Martin County Sheriff William Snyder has also noticed an increase. Quote, "We are seeing this kind of noxious mixture of excessive alcohol used, coupled with people staying home under conditions they are not used to," Snyder explained. It has resulted in a marked increase in domestic violence calls. While cases everywhere are going up, official at Aid to Victims of Domestic Abuse in Palm Beach County, otherwise known as AVDA, say their hotline calls have more or less stayed the same. So nobody is running live events that aren't virtual anymore except the WWE. Why is that? During a press conference yesterday, Orange County Mayor Jerry Demons was asked why the WWE is still producing the TV shows in Orlando. He said, quote, "I think initially there was a review that was done and they were not initially deemed as essential business. With some conversation with the governor's office regarding the governor's order, they were deemed an essential business. And so therefore they were allowed to remain open. And well, he didn't even give any reason why they deemed essential, but I guess it leaves folks wondering why." News time is 7:26. We'll have weather and traffic together next.
$7:27 the time now on the Get Up and Go show. It's time for traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Bonnie?
Well, we're not seeing any accidents to report, both for Martin County and St. Lucie County. The roads are appearing clear this morning. Have a safe ride. There's your latest look at traffic. It's a clear sky, 75 in Stewart, Port St. Lucie 74. Here's our forecast at WPTV.
This morning here on the Treasure Coast, it is very warm and humid along the coast and slightly cooler inland with breezy southerly winds. This afternoon, possible record-breaking high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Partly sunny skies, breezy winds out of the south-southeast, and a few strong thunderstorms moving from west to east are possible during the afternoon and early evening hours.
If you have a suggestion for the show, we would love to hear from you. Send us an email to WSTUmorningshow@gmail.com. Now let's get back to the Get Up and Go show. Here's Evan and Bonnie.
7:30 on the Get Up and Go show, Bonnie. And again, I want to thank our band that took care of all that for us. I have no idea what the name of the band was. I just kind of found them on Craigslist, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
The Get Up and Go show morning band.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Like I said, I found them on Craigslist. I called the number and I called area code 772-555-1212. And this guy answered the phone and he kind of sounded a little bit like the old man down the road. So I wasn't too sure there, but
you gave up the phone number, Evan. You're going to have everybody who needs a band coming up in the future calling them
yeah,
now.
well, if you need a band, call 772-555-1212 and you'll get a band for your show. That's the way it works.
You can find almost anything on Craigslist. It's crazy on there.
Yeah, this is true, but I know one thing you can't find on Craigslist.
And now it's time for Stupid News,
It's so stupid and awesome.
where we ask the important questions.
Are some people too stupid to live?
Why are people so stupid?
Are you effing stupid?
Well, it's time for our stupid news segment. You would never find that stuff on Craigslist, right?
I haven't found anything stupid on Craigslist lately.
Have you ever gone on Craigslist?
Yeah, I look for used cars. I like to look at automotives when I
Okay.
go to Craig's.
How about you, Phil?
Oh, I look at all sorts of things on Craigslist.
All right.
Just to have a good laugh sometimes.
Yeah.
Just go to Craigslist.
Lost
Yeah.
and Found is a favorite too,
Oh, that's
because
a good one.
I like to look for like different pets, and if they
Yeah.
show a photo, I will look for that pet. Maybe it's in my neighborhood and I
Yep.
can find it.
Well, during the coronavirus lockdown, some people will be going shopping for their vulnerable family members, friends, and neighbors. Now, when doing this, it's important to make sure that they're stocked up on the essentials. But for one woman, her most essential item came as a big surprise to her daughter. Kelly Muller dropped by her 82-year-old mom's house to see if she needed anything to get her through the self-isolation. The pair were talking through the window when her mother, Annette, produced a huge handmade sign with an important message on it in bold black letters. The sign proclaimed that the older woman needed more wine. More wine.
That's essential.
And to hammer her point home, Annette also waved an empty bottle of wine
Yeah.
in the window.
Very necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to do that before your daughter leaves. You got to have that wine
Yeah.
coming in.
Let's listen to Bonnie.
Keep it coming.
Bonnie.
Oh boy. I you're on a roll, and I'm going to keep going on a roll because we go from that town to Pennsylvania, where a 93-year-old woman has tickled the hearts of millions while stuck indoors amid the coronavirus lockdown after she was photographed making a plea for help in replenishing one of the all-important provisions of being locked up. Olive Veronesi is staying inside her home in Seminole near Pittsburgh to help flatten the curve on the COVID-19 pandemic sweeping the globe. Stuck at home and unable to venture out to replenish her supplies, she was pictured standing at her window with a dry erase board in one hand, and it read, "I need more beer." Well, the Coors Beer Company got wind of her standing in the window, and they sent her 10 cases of beer for free.
Oh, that's wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? They were delivered to her front door and left there.
Oh, that is so sweet.
How about that one? So if you need a little wine
Yeah.
or if you need a little beer, just hold a sign up in your window and anything could possibly happen.
There
Yeah.
you go, Bonnie. Just stand in your window with for more wine.
And
There you
naked.
go.
No, not naked. No, we don't want to do that. You'll go to jail. You'll go to jail, Bonnie.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
do that.
That's after you drink all the
That's
wine.
after you drink the wine. Then you can stand there naked as a jaybird. Wow. Isn't that line in that song, The Streak? Naked as a
Yes,
jaybird.
it is by Ray Stevens.
Ray
actually.
Stevens, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Ray
Wow.
Stevens. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a big Ray Stevens fan.
All right, for those
So-
of you that live in Bonnie's neighborhood, beware. She's going to be drinking wine later today and possibly.
Hey,
I can't say
if,
that.
and if you want to
Because
see,
then Gary's going to get mad at me.
If
But
you-
you opened up the
I know,
door.
I know, I was
you
being funny.
opened up the window on that one, so
Hold-
I
hold on,
cannot get
Bonnie.
in trouble for that one.
Bonnie, what's your address?
I can't get in trouble for this one.
I don't want to
Okay.
go there, but I was going to say, if you still want to see Ray Stevens, I think you can still catch him in Branson, Missouri.
Oh boy.
She changes the subject
Yeah, I
real
know.
quick.
All right. I think we'll just get Bunny a year subscription to that magazine and she'll be happy. Anyway,
Brian Williams called. He wants to know what time to come over.
I still don't get that. I can't even remember what Brian Williams looks like.
Right,
I have to look him up.
Google.
Okay.
Google Brian Williams and you'll see a picture of him.
Let's see.
And while you're Googling, I want to let you know that officers in Bolivia thought dressing up as the virus in homemade costumes was a creative way of making the threat seem more visible during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, in bizarre footage shared earlier this week, 2 uniformed officers disguised themselves as the deadly virus. The officers were then seen walking the streets of the Bolivian capital, La Paz, to the beat of music and conversing with the shoppers. As if the whole thing couldn't get any stranger, their bright neon costumes with their menacing grins were pretty much indistinguishable from those of football mascots. Joking aside, the force are hoping this overly visual display could raise awareness of the importance of maintaining hygiene and social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find Brian Williams?
Yeah, I did.
And?
He looks a lot like my Gary. That's
well, there
funny.
you go.
There you go. See?
There's some resemblances going on there.
Okay, so there's your answer.
Wow.
Now you know why you brought up Brian Williams.
I never knew, and now I know.
Take a deep breath. You're getting a little flustered on the air here, Bonnie. Okay.
Get the foam machine out again.
Yes, get the foam machine. We're going to have a foam party in the studio. All right. A British police department posted a reminder on Twitter not to call the emergency number to report your next door neighbor snoring. Yes, the Essex Police Department's communication division tweeted that a call came in on Sunday to the department's 911 emergency number, reporting that the caller could hear someone snoring louder. An unusual 911 call at this time of the day. Caller reporting they can hear someone snoring. Advice was given to them, and snoring is never a reason to call 911. Wow.
Yeah.
I think my wife wanted to call the police on me a few times from my old snoring days.
Evan, do you snore at night?
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I was sleeping.
Are you a snorer?
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I'm not going to say anything about snoring in my household because I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
I'm not going to say nothing at all.
We'll just leave it at that.
Phil?
Yeah.
Is there a snoring problem in your house with anybody?
There was, but it was taken care of a couple of years ago.
All right. Bonnie, your house?
No, we don't. Neither one of us snore, really.
No?
Yeah. We don't
What about
have
the
that
cats?
sort of thing. They purr.
You ever heard a dog snore?
Oh, yeah.
A snort? A dog snort?
No, snore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They, they kind of lay there with their little dog dreams and their little puppy dreams when you can see their little legs moving.
Uh-huh.
And then you kind of hear a snore come out with the bad, stinky dog breath.
The only time I've heard a dog snore, or my dog snore, well, it's not snoring, but it's like when they get something caught in their throat, they're doing that whole...
Oh, yeah.
Right, like they're gasping for something, and then if you rub their throat, it stops it.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
Really?
There's a story of a naked woman jumping on top of a police car that's making the rounds after being released following a court appearance for not obeying the coronavirus lockdown. Now, get this. The unnamed blonde stripped off and made her colorful protest after appearing before a judge. She was held yesterday in a resort after annoying neighbors who had applauded emergency services for their work in the fight against the coronavirus. She was filmed resisting arrest with her clothes on at first, but stripped off as she got to the courtroom. She also got her clothes off after being released on bail by a judge and getting on top of the police vehicle after being hit with a luncheon truck as well, and then pinned to the ground. She was taken to the waiting ambulance. Now, my question is, if they're taking her to the courthouse, how in God's name did she get her clothes off? Why wouldn't they handcuff her?
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
She must be
I don't
some
know.
kind of magician.
My wife just informed me that I snore loudly when I'm in a deep sleep
Oh, okay.
via text message.
And she would know. Yes.
Okay, so
she would know.
all right, now she has opened up the can of worms. Okay, she has
Here we
opened
go.
up the can of worms.
Wear a
Okay.
helmet, Bonnie.
It's gonna start getting. We're gonna
No.
start slinging stuff in here.
It's good
Okay.
thing I didn't bring any slime or anything.
Yeah, we're gonna
in.
start slinging. We're gonna start slinging stuff.
We
It's
can
gonna
do
start
it
getting deep.
with Lysol
we go.
wipes.
Yeah.
We got the wipes
Yeah,
to
it's gonna
sling
start
around.
getting deep in here. Her and I are gonna have a conversation when I get home because I'm gonna break out the audio recorder and then I'm gonna play something on the radio. So yeah, so all right, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, we can play that game.
Your
no
wife's
problem.
gonna sue you for that.
Yes, okay, that's all right. She can't. She's got to divorce me first, and she's not divorcing me because I would never divorce. I would never divorce her.
Oh,
I love her too much.
That's very
Oh,
sweet.
Yes,
okay.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Aw.
Anyway, a motorist who was stopped during a 170-mile round trip on Easter Sunday told police he had needed to have a break from his wife and children. The driver of the BMW was spotted by officers on a highway in Texas, who pulled him over and asked the reason for his journey. When he explained his urge to get out of the house during the bank holiday, he was reminded of the rules, given a warning, and then let go.
Mhm.
So, and there was the sound, the notification. Okay. Oh boy. It's
There's
getting
a war.
interesting. Yeah, there's a war going on. Okay. Finally, there's a 19-year-old guy named Sonny Gutierrez Jr. And on Friday of last week, he went into a Bank of America branch in Riverside, California to ROB the place. Rob, ROB, rob the place.
Uh-huh.
He passed the teller a note that said, quote, he had a gun and demanded money. The teller told him to wait in the lobby while they got the cash together. Okay, now, stupid thing, you don't tell a robber to wait while you get the cash together.
Just wait in our nice lobby
Yeah,
over
just have
here
a seat over there and get a cup of coffee.
so we can accommodate you.
Yes, exactly. We'll be right with you. Take a number. According to the police report, while the robber waited, he cracked open, quote, an adult beverage
Mhm.
while he was waiting. Okay. He brought a cooler with him. He cracked open an adult beverage.
He thought it was going to be a dog day afternoon.
Yeah. So the employees called 911 while he was drinking his adult beverage. The cops came and they arrested him. They charged him with armed robbery and drinking in public.
Hmm.
Wow.
So maybe I wonder if he offered the officers a beer.
He actually he did. It says it in the report. He did offer to the officers a beer to join him. He avoided the underage drinking charge because he had just turned 21. No word on specifically what he was drinking.
Well, just hopefully it was the best beer, and not like your cheap beer, like maybe he offered them a Natty Light or something.
I don't know. Maybe he was drinking Schlitz malt liquor.
Schlitz.
Remember Schlitz?
or Blatz. Good old
What are
Blatz
some of
is
those?
best.
What are some of those off-brand beers? Phil, you work in the liquid beverage business.
There's Bush beer, Schlitz, like you talked about. Well, that's a malt liquor.
Schlitz is a malt liquor.
Is
What's the
it malt?
difference between a malt liquor and beer?
I didn't know Schlitz was a malt
They all
liquor.
taste nasty.
I remember having a Schlitz with my dad, but I can't remember it being malt liquor. It is, huh?
That was my first beer. Was Bush beer.
Bush?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Head
'cause
to
that's
the
what my dad drank.
mountains. Head to the
Yes.
mountain of Bush.
Yeah, because my dad drank that, so obviously I took one out of the refrigerator and had a swig of it. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
in those days,
You know, it's funny. My dad back in the day, he was the president of Ballantine Beer back in the
Wow.
day, and
Wow.
and also Ballantine and Rangold, and we were just my dad liked to drink beer, but he didn't drink it a lot. I tasted it once, and I like to want to vomit.
Wow.
Honestly, I just did not like the taste of beer.
Oh.
Never have. Just you have to have a taste for beer.
Yeah. You couldn't have been like his spokesperson then.
No.
Because is it true, like when you're a spokesperson for a product, you have to really use the product?
Yeah, you should technically.
Yeah.
I did something for Nutrisystem many years ago, probably 30 years ago, where I actually they put me on Nutrisystem. I was doing a morning show,
Oh.
and I did actualities on the air about how good Nutrisystem was.
And did you did you swear by it?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I still do to this day,
Yeah.
because I went back on it again, and I don't want to get into a whole rant about Nutrisystem because I don't want to get in trouble for giving free advertising out. But let's just say the food's good.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
No need to say anything else.
And I'm sure with diets, systems are different too, and maybe what works for one might not work for another. And if it worked for you, terrific.
Yeah, George, by the way, says Old Milwaukee is another beer.
There you go.
Is as great as its name because I've been there.
7:46 is the time right now. Let's head over to the news desk where Bonnie is standing by with the headlines. Good morning, Bonnie.
Good morning, Evan. The coronavirus death toll in Florida is now at 499. The Department of Health is reporting more than 21,000 confirmed cases. Florida's deadliest day for coronavirus could be later than previously thought. Scientists from the University of Washington now say the most deaths in Florida could come on May 3rd. Earlier, they predicted the deadliest day would be a week from today. Governor Ron DeSantis is updating the state's preparations for possible COVID-19 outbreaks in nursing homes.
While we have been early and aggressive by implementing screening protocols and prohibiting visitation, testing remains an effective tool to identify an outbreak early and to mitigate any spreading of the virus.
DeSantis is directing the Florida National Guard to create additional strike teams to ramp up testing at assisted living and long-term care facilities. Quickly, we take a look at coronavirus cases at a glance throughout our counties. There's 129 confirmed cases in Martin County with 3 deaths. In St. Lucie County, 161 confirmed cases and 7 deaths. And up in Indian River County, there are 77 confirmed coronavirus cases with 1 death. State leaders are looking at some encouraging data when it comes to hospitalizations for COVID-19 that may suggest the curve is flattening. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Scott Ribkees is stressing the need to stay vigilant.
Again, wish to emphasize the importance of avoiding crowds. 6-foot spacing, if we are going to be in gatherings, should be less than 10 individuals. We should all consider wearing a mask in public in the event that some of us are asymptomatic spreaders.
Dr. Ribkees says until there is a vaccine, which is a while off, we need to continue to protect ourselves. Floridians thrown out of work by the pandemic are having a tough time dealing with the state unemployment system, but Governor Ron DeSantis said the money is starting to go out.
There have been claims paid, and there's a lot in the hopper right now, and people are working hard. And as you know, we've got a lot of hands on deck for this at this point, and that will, I think, really help us a lot.
DeSantis says more Floridians filed for benefits in the past 3 weeks than during all of 2019. And finally, the Treasury Department said nearly 80 million Americans will get their coronavirus stimulus payment this week, and most eligible Americans will get their payments in the next 2 weeks. Payments will be up to $1,200 for qualifying individuals, $2,400 for married couples, and $500 for each qualifying child. Port St. Lucie resident Barbara McGrogan was shocked to see a deposit in her bank account Monday. The payments are a much-needed crutch during times of growing unemployment and job insecurity. The payments are also supposed to help boost the economy. And now this. NASCAR star Kyle Larson was suspended indefinitely after dropping a racial slur during a virtual racing event on Sunday, and he apologized on social media saying he knows it was a mistake and an awful thing to say. And of course, they suspended him indefinitely without pay after he dropped the N-word during an iRacing virtual event on Sunday. And of course, he apologized yesterday in that 42-second video on social media. He called it a mistake and an awful thing to say. News time is 7:50. Weather and traffic together are next.
7:51 the time of the Get Up and Go show. It's time for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Bonnie?
Well, it's a good-looking ride on a Tuesday morning throughout the entire Treasure Coast. US 1, the roads are fine. We're not seeing any accident on the major roads right now. Everything's clear. There's your latest look at traffic. It's 75 in Stewart. Here's a look at our forecast at WPTV.
This morning here on the Treasure Coast, it is very warm and humid along the coast and slightly cooler inland with breezy southerly winds. This afternoon, possible record-breaking high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Partly sunny skies, breezy winds out of the south-southeast, and a few strong thunderstorms moving from west to east are possible during the afternoon and early evening hours.
You're listening to the Get Up and Go Show with Evan and Bonnie on Martin County's Heritage Station, AM 1450 WSTU. Now let's get back to the program with Evan and Bonnie.
All right, I want to thank the band again for taking care of everything. I guess we call that the Get Up and Go Show band now, right? Right, Bonnie?
Yes, yeah. And Phil came up with a name for it. Pretty cool.
Yep. Coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, Sheriff William Snyder is going to be here giving us the state of the county address, what's happening, what's going on in Martin County. I'm looking forward to always talking to the sheriff. If you have any questions or anything, you can send us an email, and we will email we'll ask those questions on the air. The email address for the morning show is wstumorningshow@gmail.com, wstumorningshow@gmail.com. Did you know that every day in the United States, 5 bicycle riders are injured riding into an open car door? Think about that one.
Wow.
Yeah, think about that when you're riding down the road, okay? You parallel park your car, you open your door, and all of a sudden, bam.
Wow, you best be looking for them.
Well, you know what it is? It's not so much as looking for them. The bike riders aren't paying attention. They're just not simply paying attention where they're going. They're either texting on their phones or they're looking all over the place.
That, if they're going at some sort of a kind of like a super speed, they could just non-intentionally run into that car door too. Like
that would hurt.
Accident.
Yeah.
That would.
You know what I saw the other day? I saw a teenage girl riding her bike and trying to use her cell phone at the same time.
I'm guilty of that.
Really?
I'll admit it. But I have on my bike, I have a holder for my cell phone.
Oh.
So it sits on my handlebars, and I wear my AirPods, so I don't even have to touch my phone. So if I want to call somebody, I say, "Hey Siri," and then it goes, like it just did right now on my iPad and my phone. See, there it is right there. It's capturing everything that I'm saying right now. Okay, so I say that, and then it will dial the number that I ask it to call.
Wow.
So if I were to say, "Hey, blank, call WSTU," it'll call that number.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You know what I saw on Bayshore Boulevard one day?
What?
I saw a guy on a motorcycle that popped a wheelie that went on for like...
Oh, I've seen that.
It was like 3 blocks,
That's
though.
stupidity at its best. Why you would
got
do that,
right.
I have no idea. We're WSTU Stewart. We're Martin County's Heritage Station. The news is coming up next, and then we'll be joined by Sheriff Snyder. Don't you dare go anywhere.
On the air, online, covering the Treasure Coast. Get connected with the Get Up and Go Show. And now here's your host, Evan and Bonnie.
8:07 on the Get Up and Go Show with Evan and Bonnie. And as always, every Tuesday, we welcome in the Sheriff of Martin County, Sheriff Willie Snyder's joining us on our line right now to give us a state of the county address and all things going on. First and foremost, Sheriff Snyder, how are you and your family and your extended family at the Sheriff's Department doing?
So far, by God's grace, we're all good. My family's good, and the Sheriff's Office is good. We've got no known COVID cases in the county, and very importantly, we don't have any in our jail.
That's so terrific to hear.
Well, they've used extraordinary measures, thank you, Bonnie, that in the jail especially, our corrections major has done a wonderful job. She's really paying attention to details. And we're blessed. We just don't have it there.
It sounds like they're doing a great job because, Sheriff, I think it was a week, maybe 2 weeks ago already, you still had that same report with no coronavirus cases with your deputies or in the jail. So it's really impressive.
Well, thank you, and we're going to continue working at it. Really, it only takes one, and with the unfortunately for us in the jail, especially, sometimes our population are people that have challenging lifestyles. You know, they maybe don't go to the clinics, they don't go get tested, they try to tough something out because they don't have insurance. So our population tends to be more vulnerable. I know that's a generalization, but I believe it's accurate.
The things that we take for granted, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sheriff, I want to talk to you a little bit about there's a scam that's going around. It's called the grandparent scam that's popping up. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's like a vampire? You just can't kill it. It comes out, we beat it back and get out education, then it comes back. It's really nothing more than a boiler room operation where people will make random phone calls and just, if a woman answers, "Oh, hi, Grandma," if it's a male, "Hey, Grandpa," and if the person, oftentimes grandparents do this, you know, they'll say back, "Oh, Julia, what's wrong?" or "What's up?" And then the one on the other end will pretend that there is some dilemma: a flat tire, a broken car, they're in jail, they need bond. I mean, it has an unlimited amount of iterations. And try to talk Grandma, Grandpa into sending them money, and it's just it's incredible how it works.
Give us an update on what's going on with boating and golfing in Martin County.
Our private, the county course is closed. Private golf courses are open with some pretty stringent stipulations imposed by the county commission. Most of the enforcement is being done by Parks and Recreation. We did an education swing and went to every golf course and explained what the rules and regulations are. Got off to a bumpy start the first day, and by Sunday, it was going very well. And I'll get a report today how it went yesterday. But there's a lot at stake. They don't want to be closed, so I think we're going to see cooperation.
Sheriff, there's an article that came out recently that I know you have in front of you that I wanted to discuss with you. And there's a lot of COVID-19 fraud scams, very similar to the grandparent scam that you were talking about. And I wanted to get your comment on each one of these, and I wanted to tick through these. And this kind of upsets me as well that people would do this. The main one is hoarding and price gouging of necessary supplies.
Yeah, this is something put out by our U.S. Attorney, Adriana Orshan, and her first one, interesting on this list, was hoarding, and then people turning around and price gouging. They're different in a way, but then we do see these cases where people are getting tremendous amounts of equipment and supplies and then selling it at a higher rate. There's two things there I'll say real quickly. Number one is, we really, really, really have to stop the hoarding because it's starting to interfere with the supply chain and the ability of the supply chain to keep up.
Right.
And then the price gouging, it's just that's a crime and it's punishable by arrest.
Yeah, it sounds like that price gouging is just taking it to a brand new level.
Yeah, sure. You know, somebody's hoarded a garage full of fill in the blank masks toilet paper, the stuff that you're having trouble getting, and then turns around, gets on the internet, and tries to sell it.
Yeah.
What about also we're seeing a lot of these fake testing kits come up, treatments, and also, I guess, cures for COVID-19. There's really no cure for COVID-19.
There's absolutely no cure that I'm aware of, but I look at the same news reports you do. I'm not a medical person,
right?
And the tests, there are no tests yet in our hands. So anybody out there who thinks they can get their hands on a test kit, keep in mind that law enforcement can't get it yet. So what in the world should you be buying?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people also experience these robocalls, online shops offering to sell medical supplies with really no intent to deliver. And I know something that you have said time and time again on this show, Sheriff, if you didn't originate the call, then it must not be true.
Yes. If you didn't make the call and you're talking to someone who's trying to sell you, talk you out of a private number, your password or something, you're being scammed.
Are you still getting a number of calls from people who might be receiving the calls of when they're saying
all the time, all day long
about the stimulus checks and saying, hey, send us your credit card information so maybe we can get that stimulus check too in the bank for you earlier?
All day. And here's the deal: that I read the same news you do. It looks like those stimulus checks are going to start hitting. Expect the boiler room thieves to start their calls and say, hey, did you get your check yet? Or you got your check, it wasn't the right amount. We're so sorry, and we need to, you have another $400 coming, but we have to take your check back. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's 100% certain that they're going to come, and especially now that people are getting their checks.
I guess people just have to keep in mind that nobody is going to be calling them about their checks. That money is probably just going to go into their bank accounts and look for it.
No, there's nobody from the federal government is following up by phone on anything in the United States. If someone calls you and says they're from the government, you can be sure they're absolutely not from the government.
That's for sure.
Right.
What about these, Sheriff? What about these websites that are seeking donations for illegitimate or non-existent COVID-19 charities?
We see that in every single disaster where people, instead of going to their normal or to legitimate sources like the Red Cross, there are legitimate outlets out there that you get these, especially on Facebook, you get these fake accounts, the GoFundMes where, somebody's been wiped out with a COVID thing. Certainly has the potential to devastate a family, and you can construct a really amazing story out of whole cloth and make a few bucks.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the, I saw you in the news this morning about the domestic calls. Are you getting a stronger number of them lately in Martin County?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have a dashboard that we've created where we can look and see every single COVID call, everybody in the jail that's on quarantine, calls for service. And I noticed the other day we're two areas way up, and that is domestic violence and suicides.
Wow.
Yeah, people just can't cope with being contained in their home with their significant other, and it's leading to more, not getting along, and then people they just can't cope with it, period, and they just want to end their own lives.
Well, you have all these multitude of factors, not the least of which is people are losing their businesses, they're losing their jobs, their sources of income, their mobility. They can't go out at night. They can't go. I had someone tell me the other day, a friend of mine, an older gentleman, said, my life revolves around going to the gym and going out to eat. And that's his business. Someone might say, well, that's not a very active lifestyle. But in fact, that's what he likes to do. And he's sitting in his house.
What about these phishing emails? How do we prevent and be cautious in regards to these phishing emails that are going out from entities that are posing as the CDC or WHO, which may contain malware?
Yeah, that's once again, phishing with a PHI is such a common practice today. Somebody will send you a link, opens up to what looks like the CDC, it looks like your bank, it looks like the IRS. They will have duplicated. You can't even tell if you put them up next to each other. The web pages from these legitimate entities, except the one you've opened up is not legitimate. And then they start asking you for passwords and social security numbers. And it's just another one of those things, like Bonnie said earlier. If somebody else has started the conversation, which is exactly what that is on the internet, somebody is enticing you to go to a website you didn't ask to go to, you're being scammed.
Don't you just wish that everybody would learn that, and like that they wouldn't be able to fool anybody? That everybody just got that.
You know what it is? If you're driving and you see a stop sign, you don't have to read STOP. You're so habituated to it, you know exactly what that means. It means to stop. So when you see a web page that says SunTrust or CDC or Bank of America, and it's absolutely identical to yours, it's just like the stop sign. You're habituated to it. Oh, my bank said I'm having trouble with something, or they need additional information, and you click on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that it's not that you're stupid or don't deserve to have an internet. It's just that these people are very adept at convincing you they're real.
Just like when I got that friend request on Facebook from Prince Harry, and here comes his nice picture and his smiling face, but I knew well enough to know that that's not really from Prince Harry.
Yeah, no, don't accept any invitations from anybody for anything, for any reason ever, and you'll be okay.
Sheriff, I have a question. It's just something that just popped into my head in regards to what we're talking about. Has the sheriff's office thought about possibly doing some kind of an educational live video on the topics that we're talking about right now for the public, and a forum to where people can actually log in and ask questions, do like a 30-minute Q&A with somebody that specializes in this in your department?
You know, we've done a lot of public PSAs and work in this area, but what you're suggesting is a great idea. And maybe as we move out of this COVID thing into a more normal lifestyle at the sheriff's office, where I'm not using detectives now to sometimes answer first responder calls.
Right.
It's a great idea, though. Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, Sheriff Snyder, it's always it's a pleasure to have you on every Tuesday with us to give us an update. And any closing words, what would you like to say to the listening public as far as what they need to, be aware of out there?
My closing word is this. There's a lot of bad news. We've talked about some scary things. COVID-19 is scary. Being scammed is scary. Not being able to go to your restaurant, losing your job is scary. But at the end of the day, the hallmark of America has always been resilience and self-reliance and community spirit. And I think if we remember who we are and hold tight, we'll come out of this and we can kickstart it and get back to work.
Yeah, one line I hear all the time on TV and radio, and they always say, we're all in this together. And it's so true. We are all in this together. And if we just all do this together and heed to what everybody is asking us to do, and that's just, if you don't belong outside, just stay at home, we'll get through this and we'll be safe.
Absolutely.
Sheriff, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Bonnie and Evan. God bless y'all.
God bless you too,
God
Sheriff.
bless.
I love having him on.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's just like words.
I feel so, I just feel like a zen just came over me talking to him, because it's just, it's very comforting to hear right from, I hate to say it, but right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
He's not a horse, but he's, as I've labeled him as Big Daddy is what I like to call him, because he is Big Daddy. He's the guy that runs the sheriff's office.
It's very comforting to know that he is our sheriff.
Yeah.
It's a comforting thing.
And he's a people's sheriff.
He is.
And he says all the time, he works for the people, not against the people.
That is true. So true, Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's another reason why we love him so much here in Martin County. 8:20 right now, news time. Let's go over to the news desk where Bonnie's standing by with the headlines. Take it away, Bonnie.
And the coronavirus death toll in Florida is now at 499. The Department of Health is reporting more than 21,000 confirmed cases. Florida's deadliest day for the coronavirus could be later than previously thought. Scientists from the University of Washington now say the most deaths in Florida could come on May 3rd. Earlier, they predicted the deadliest day would be a week from today. Governor Ron DeSantis is updating the state's preparations for possible COVID-19 outbreaks in nursing homes.
While we've been early and aggressive by implementing screening protocols and prohibiting visitation, testing remains an effective tool to identify an outbreak early and to mitigate any spreading of the virus.
DeSantis is directing the Florida National Guard to create additional strike teams to ramp up testing at assisted living and long-term care facilities. State leaders are looking at some encouraging data when it comes to hospitalizations for COVID-19 that may suggest the curve is flattening. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Scott Rivkees is stressing the need to stay vigilant.
Again, wish to emphasize the importance of avoiding crowds. 6 foot spacing, if we are going to be in gatherings, should be less than 10 individuals. We should all consider wearing a mask in public in the event that some of us are asymptomatic spreaders.
Dr. Rivkees says until there is a vaccine, which is a while off, we need to continue to protect ourselves. Floridians thrown out of work by the pandemic are having a tough time dealing with the state unemployment system, but Governor Ron DeSantis said the money is starting to go out.
There have been claims paid, and there's a lot in the hopper right now, and people are working hard. And as you know, we've got a lot of hands on deck for this at this point, and that will, I think, really help us a lot.
DeSantis says more Floridians filed for benefits in the past 3 weeks than during all of 2019. The Treasury Department said nearly 80 million Americans will get their coronavirus stimulus payment this week, and most eligible Americans will get their payments in the next 2 weeks. Payments will be up to $1,200 for qualifying individuals, $2,400 for married couples, and $500 for each qualifying child. Port St. Lucie resident Barbara McGrogan was shocked to see a deposit in her bank account Monday. The payments are a much-needed crutch during times of growing unemployment and job insecurity. The payments are also supposed to help boost the economy. A 19-year-old high school student and his mother in Port St. Lucie are among those battling coronavirus on the Treasure Coast. The young man's mother said Monday her son, Jose, is being transferred from the Cleveland Clinic Tradition Hospital in Port St. Lucie to Lawnwood Hospital in Fort Pierce, while she continues her own battle with coronavirus. Jose is a special needs student at St. Lucie West Centennial High School. His mother, Rosie, said her son is a very happy young man who loves going to school. She says she has no complaints about him as he keeps his room neat and organized. For the past few years, Jose's been one of a number of special needs students in St. Lucie County, taking part in the Student Perks job training program. And finally, we take a look at our coronavirus cases throughout our counties at a glance. The number of confirmed cases right here in Martin County are at 129 with 3 deaths. In Indian River County, confirmed coronavirus cases are at 77 with 1 death. And in St. Lucie County, the number of confirmed, 161 with 7 deaths in St. Lucie County. Carolina's Christian McCaffrey's new 4-year, $64 million deal, and more than half of the new money on that contract is guaranteed. So why did the Carolina Panthers do it? For a couple reasons. One, they view him as more than just a back, and that's backed up by the 303 catches he has over his first 3 years in the pros. And 2, he earned it. As one of the team's best players, he carried a heavy load his first 3 years and has consistently been one of the team's hardest workers and best leaders. News time is 8:25. Weather and traffic together next.
$8:26 right now, the Get Up and Go show. It's time for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Bonnie?
We don't have any traffic accidents to report for this Tuesday morning. Roads on the Treasure Coast looking clear. Now there's your latest look at traffic. Very mild too at 74 in Port St. Lucie and in Stewart 75. Here's our forecast at WPTV.
This morning here on the Treasure Coast, it is very warm and humid along the coast and slightly cooler inland with breezy southerly winds. This afternoon, possible record-breaking high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Partly sunny skies, breezy winds out of the south-southeast, and a few strong thunderstorms moving from west to east are possible during the afternoon and early evening hours.
Mornings are better with the Get Up and Go Show with Evan and Bonnie on WSTU.
8:29 is the time on the Get Up and Go Show with Evan and Bonnie. It's time to head out to outer space in another place where Randy Siegel's standing by with the latest and greatest news on what's happening. Gosh knows how many hundreds of miles away. How far are they up in space from us?
230 miles, roughly.
Wow. So that's like going from Miami to where?
Yes.
Miami to Jacksonville?
I guess, yeah. Florida's is so long. It's about that.
Wow. Okay.
We were up by Cape Canaveral this weekend. We went through that area. There's a high school up there called Astronaut High School.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, I like that.
I'm like, wow, imagine if you went to Astronaut High School. You could tell people that. What school you go to? Astronaut?
I like that.
I like it.
Well, they got a lot of things up there named after the astronauts.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, take it away, young man.
No, I don't want to. Oh,
Okay.
yes, I will.
Fine, I'll hang up the phone then. There.
I messed up for you. Well, on this date in history, going back to 1972, NASA announced that the Kennedy Space Center and Vandenberg Air Force Base would be the launching sites for space shuttles. However, the Vandenberg site was never used. Also on this date in history, going back to 1981, the Columbia on the first shuttle mission landed after spending 2 days in space with John Young and Bob Crippen. The interesting thing is, after they landed, they saw that a lot of the shuttle tiles had problems. Several fell off, and the crew was still able to land with no problem. Interesting that it was years later that NASA realized that those tiles have to really be in the working order before something would happen, as did with Space Shuttle Challenger and Columbia. Also on this date in history, back in 2005, the International Space Station got 2 new crew members flying on a Soyuz TMA-6 spacecraft. The commander was Sergei Krikalev, and making his second flight in space, NASA astronaut John L. Phillips. They did a lot of science work on board, and after that flight, which was the sixth and last flight for Krikalev, he is now in charge of all of the astronauts in Russia. The crew that's on the International Space Station right now is getting ready to return home on Friday. They've been in orbit, and now they're getting ready to come home. New astronauts came to the space station on the 9th. Chris Cassidy, who will take over command of the station, Anatoly Ivanushin and Ivan Wagner. The astronauts did a lot of science where Chris Cassidy put on virtual reality goggles for an experiment monitoring how his visual interprets motion, orientation, and distance in microgravity. Ivanushin and Wagner were researching space biology and technology studies. They used their new orbital home 260 miles above the Earth. The Expedition 62 flight engineers, Jessica Meir, Andrew Morgan, and Commander Oleg Sherpochka, will complete their mission on Friday and return home. They packed the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft and got themselves familiar with the conditions they'll experience once they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and feeling gravity for the first time in months. Not to mention being taken care of a lot differently when they return home because of the coronavirus. Sherpochka will hand over command of the station on Wednesday afternoon during a change of command ceremony. The actual undocking of the spacecraft will come on Thursday evening at 9:53, and a landing taking place at 1:17 a.m. the following day. Russians have asked their fellow Russians to stay home. The astronauts on board the International Space Station beamed down greetings to everyone on Earth and urged everybody to stay home, that everybody should stay safe. Cosmonaut Ivan Wagner noted that it's the doctors today who are the front runners of the struggle of the lives of Russians and future well-being. It's the doctors who every day, every minute risk their lives for us. It's the doctors today and who are the real heroes of Russia. We thank every medical worker for that work, always and especially today. Your work, your professional and personal feat is invaluable. Thank you very much. Well, that is echoed by many, many more people, as the doctors are the forerunners of what goes on here on Earth and will help us get through this insidious virus. What's interesting to note is that the bag of medical equipment that goes to the International Space Station has not changed. They're taking no additional precautions by sending additional medicines to the International Space Station. So it's obvious they feel confident that they will not have any problems. Another interesting note is that the region where Yuri Gagarin lived in Russia is now under repairs. Many streets are named after cosmonauts in that area. It's the Magadan region of Russia. And they want to make sure that the streets that are named after cosmonauts are in good repair. This hasn't happened in quite some time, but the Russians want it moving forward. The Russians are not very happy with the United States because on Cosmonauts Day, which the United Nations General Assembly in 2011 proclaimed the observance of, they did not mention Yuri Gagarin by name. They mentioned the first orbit and the first person to go into space, but without mentioning the name, and the Russians were not happy about that. The European Space Agency has lost a French astrobiologist, Jacques Balmont, one of the pioneers of French space program, who contributed to the founding of the European Space Agency and the development of several rockets. He passed away at a ripe old age. Russia plans to cut spending for launches by 30%. They say they are going to lower the cost of launches on their Soyuz rockets by 30% in order to compete with SpaceX. They believe that without doing so, that they will not get any commercial launches, and it is something that they really want to have. The commercial launches bring in extreme revenue for Russia, and Russia is very happy to get that money. NASA, way out in deep space, has rehearsed picking up pieces of an asteroid and bringing it back to Earth. In August, a robotic spacecraft, OSIRIS-REx, will take up a piece of asteroid Bennu and bring it back to Earth. Well, NASA practiced the timing and actually did a dress rehearsal of what they will do when it reaches down and actually picks up part of that asteroid and returns it home to Earth in several years. Virgin Orbit, which is working to launch a satellite from underneath the wing of a Boeing 747 using their Launcher One rocket, recently had a test that was a full-up test by actually going into the air with the rocket underneath its wing. At some point, they will release the rocket and it will launch a satellite into orbit. The advantage of having this done is tremendous. By doing this, they'll be in a position to launch anywhere, anytime into orbit. This could also help the United States military in their efforts as we move forward. SpaceX has beaten out other companies and has been awarded a NASA contract to deliver cargo to the Lunar Gateway by offering the agency the most efficient way and the lowest price. The contract is being awarded to SpaceX for the Gateway Logistics Services to deliver cargo to the Lunar Gateway. The value of it? $7 billion over 15 years. Not a bad thing to have. Lockheed Martin is continuing its work on the Orion spacecraft, as well as working with the Artemis 1 mission. The biggest problem they have now is the coronavirus. While they're working on the spacecraft, the number of people actually doing it are very little. And as a result of that, they may have to push out the launch from 2021. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Tomorrow, we're going to tell you about how the virus has affected the Eastern Range and how NASA says we're still flying men in May. So until then, have a great day, everybody.
That's your latest from space from Randy Siegel, as he does each and every morning at that time right here on the Get Up and Go show. Time to head on over to Ellie's Downtown Deli, where Bonnie is standing by, but she's not on the front steps like she normally is, just because of social distancing. So therefore, we have her in our very sterile, with a capital S, very sterile, safe studios. People ask me, Bonnie, how are you going to, they ask me, how are you going to work every day? I'm like, well, it's real simple. We practice safe sterilization.
Yeah.
It's like people practice safe something else. Well, we practice safe sterilization.
And we're pretty much following the under 10 people rule now, where, only just a certain number of people are in
7
here.
members in the band. You and I are 9, so we're under 10.
Got to keep it under
That's
10.
right. What's going on at Ellie's Downtown Deli?
Well, we just want to know. I just want to know what you're doing at home, ladies and gentlemen, and probably pondering on what's the next meal going to be for tonight. Ellie's Deli has dinner plates for pickup priced just right for two people. And, you can get maybe like a 4-cheese lasagna with side salad. Yes, priced just right for two at $21.95. You can get Salisbury steak for two with a sauteed onions, roasted potatoes, a veggie, and brown gravy. Or maybe order baked ziti with a side salad.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, get your chicken parmesan over
now you're really talking.
pasta marinara, priced for two people. So all you got to do is pre-order your food 24 hours in advance and pick up the following day. So, you get great meal plan ideas so you don't have to cook. Leave it to Ellie's Deli. In Stewart, they're open with a full menu for pickup or delivery. Ellie's is also making dinners with a full menu available for any number of guests you might have, 2 or more. And remember, they also have fabulous desserts as well. Give them a call at 772-781-6605 to order or pick up. And they're located at 18 Southeast 6th Street, downtown Stewart, just off Colorado. Call 772-781-6605. Ellie's Downtown Deli in Stewart.
Hey, I meant to ask you a question. How much we got to keep paying the steel drum player every week?
I guess he's worth about $1,000 or $2,000 a week.
I don't know. Phil, can you play steel drums?
No.
Okay. Well,
I could play a mean triangle.
I like the guy, but he keeps playing the same song every single day. I'm gonna send him to the Hooked on Phonics music school of Babushka.
Hey,
Babushka.
At least it's catchy. At least it catches us on a catchy note.
This is true. This is true. It's time for the Precious Metals Report, all brought to you by St. Lucie Jewelry and Coin. Gold is opening up. Get this. Gold is opening up at $1,730.90 an ounce. I have not heard it that high in so long. And silver is opening up at $15.61 an ounce.
That's a lot of babushka.
A lot of babushka.
Yeah.
Speaking of babushka, let's go to the babushka news desk, where Bonnie is standing by with the latest headlines this morning. Take it away, Bonnie.
Okay, the coronavirus death toll in Florida now at 499. The Department of Health is reporting more than 21,000 confirmed cases. Florida's deadliest day for coronavirus could be later than previously thought. Scientists from the University of Washington now say the most deaths in Florida could come on May 3rd. Earlier, they predicted the deadliest day would be a week from today. Governor Ron DeSantis is updating the state's preparations for possible COVID-19 outbreaks in nursing homes.
While we've been early and aggressive by implementing screening protocols and prohibiting visitation, testing remains an effective tool to identify an outbreak early and to mitigate any spreading of the virus.
DeSantis is directing the Florida National Guard to create additional strike teams to ramp up testing at assisted living and long-term care facilities. State leaders are looking at some encouraging data when it comes to hospitalizations for COVID-19 that may suggest the curve is flattening. Florida Surgeon General Dr. Scott Ribkes is stressing the need to stay vigilant.
Again, wish to emphasize the importance of avoiding crowds. 6-foot spacing, if we are going to be in gatherings, should be less than 10 individuals. We should all consider wearing a mask in public in the event that some of us are asymptomatic spreaders.
Dr. Ribkes says until there is a vaccine, which is a while off, we need to continue to protect ourselves. Floridians thrown out of work by the pandemic are having a tough time dealing with the state unemployment system, but Governor Ron DeSantis said the money is starting to go out.
There have been claims paid, and there's a lot in the hopper right now, and people are working hard. And as you know, we've got a lot of hands on deck for this at this point, and that will, I think, really help us a lot.
DeSantis says more Floridians filed for benefits in the past 3 weeks than during all of 2019. The Treasury Department said nearly 80 million Americans will get their coronavirus stimulus payment this week, and most eligible Americans will get their payments in the next 2 weeks. Payments will be up to $1,200 for qualifying individuals, $2,400 for married couples, and $500 for each qualifying child. Port St. Lucie resident Barbara McGrogan was shocked to see a deposit in her bank account on Monday. The payments are a much-needed crutch during times of growing unemployment and job insecurity. The payments are also supposed to help boost the economy. Amid the coronavirus crisis, the bell is still ringing for professional wrestling in Orlando. World Wrestling Entertainment has now been deemed an essential business. This means the company can keep operating at the WWE Performance Center despite other businesses being forced to close. News time is 8:47. Weather and traffic together are next.
8:48 the time to Get Up and Go show. It's time for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Bonnie?
Well, in Martin County, Evan, we do see an accident right now. This is a vehicle crash with injuries. It's on I-95 northbound Hope Sound at mile marker 90. From this accident, there's not any roadblocks showing. There's traffic still getting through right there. St. Lucie County, no accidents or slowdowns to report. There's your latest look at traffic. Stuart, we have 76 right now. It's 75, Port St. Lucie. Here's our forecast at WPTV.
This morning here on the Treasure Coast, it is very warm and humid along the coast and slightly cooler inland with breezy southerly winds. This afternoon, possible record-breaking high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Partly sunny skies, breezy winds out of the south-southeast, and a few strong thunderstorms moving from west to east are possible during the afternoon and early evening hours.
You're listening to the Get Up and Go Show with Evan and Bonnie on Martin County's Heritage Station, AM 1450 WSTU. Now let's get back to the program with Evan and Bonnie.
$8:52, the time to Get Up and Go Show, and it's now time to head on over to the Palatial Palace where Phil is standing by from Phil's notebook, and it's time for Phil's top 10 list. Phil, take it away.
From the home office of Yeehaw Junction, Florida, top 10 signs your kid is a loser.
Oh.
Top 10 signs your kid is a loser. Now, we've all been at home with our kids. You're starting to notice things that you never noticed before. So here are the top 10 signs your kid is a loser. Number 10, neighborhood kids trade and collect his teeth.
Wait, say that one again.
Number 10, neighborhood kids trade and collect his teeth.
Okay.
Maybe they're the kids' bargaining chips.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe somebody will get more money from the tooth fairy. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, go ahead.
Number 9, sobs uncontrollably every time he watches The Tiger King. Number 8, constantly uses the phrase okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
There you go.
Grown-ups are still using that one. I'm hearing that one
Exactly.
in the grown-up crowds even.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. Number 7, turned you into the mall cops for parking in the handicap spot.
Oh, boy.
Number 6, he is trying to social distance from himself.
From himself.
Okay.
Number 5, try to start the wave while watching a game on TV.
Now, that's a good one. I like that one.
Number 4, when he grows up, he wants to be just like Evan.
What?
Oh,
Me?
oh, was that
Wow.
a rim shot? Is that a rim shot moment?
I don't know. I made the top 10 list, though. All right, go ahead.
Number 3, when he grows up, he wants to be just like Phil.
Oh,
So-
okay. I can see where this is going.
Number 2. Number 2, wants to be vice president of the United States.
Okay.
And number 1, tends to sit in the backyard and eats crickets.
Wow. Eats crickets.
Eats crickets. Yum.
Okay.
You know, without
Yum.
the kids and all the kids staying home, Phil and Evan, like they're saying that, and you know how they're trying to create that vaccine.
Yeah.
They're saying that
Yeah.
vaccine will probably be created by a parent.
I'll bet you.
Wanting
Probably.
to get
Yeah.
their kids
Yeah.
back to school, get out of the house.
Man.
So,
oh, man.
so you and I made the top 10.
Yeah, we
thanks
did.
to the home office.
I thought for sure
yeah.
that you were going to put Bonnie in there. I mean, if you put you put me and you put yourself in there, thanks to the home office, I was like, man, Bonnie feels
Exactly.
Bonnie feels neglected. I'm gonna need to get the home office phone number from you in Yeehaw and call them and find
Yeah.
out why Bonnie was excluded from this top 10 list.
Well, it just shows you we're bigger losers than she is.
No, it's
Yeah.
because
That's the thing.
the vice president is before me, and I'm only Secretary of State.
Okay.
So-
Wow. Now she's appointing herself Secretary of State. Well,
Never the
there you
bride,
go.
only the bridesmaid, never the bride.
okay. All right. That's a good one. Well, Phil and Bonnie, on that note, it's time to play a round of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Okay. Are you
Oh, boy.
smarter than a fifth grader? I will read the question that are standard questions for fifth graders, and each of you will answer, and then I'll tell you who's right and who is wrong. So we'll start with you, Phil. Okay. Which of the following is a primary source? Is it A, Taylor Swift's diary, B, a book about Taylor Swift, or C, something a friend heard about Taylor Swift?
I love that.
Which is a primary source? Which one?
I'm going to go with A.
You're going to go with A. Bonnie, which
Yeah.
one would you go with?
It would have to be her diary, right?
Her diary? Well, unfortunately, Phil is right, and Bonnie, you said the diary also?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're both right. Yeah. You're both right. Okay, very
You have to
good.
go right to the horse's tail on that.
Yes,
In the
definitely.
beginning.
In the beginning, there was chocolate ice. Okay, so if all Phil, all right, here we go, Phil. If all
Go.
the trees were cut down, what would go away? A, nitrogen, B, carbon dioxide, or C, oxygen? Which one? Which
Oh.
one?
C, oxygen.
Bonnie?
I'm going to go with B, carbon dioxide.
Okay. All right. So in that note, the correct answer is C, oxygen.
Oh, way to go, Phil.
Yes.
Way to go.
All right. Phil
Yay.
got one.
Way to go,
Okay.
Phil.
All right.
Way
Very
to
good.
go.
Well, no, I got 2.
You got 2. All right. So we have 2-1. Okay. So now in this question, here we go. We'll have Phil answer again first. Which of the following are antonyms? A, aura and feeling. B, fun and boring. Or C, spunky and sassy. Phil? Which
I'm
one
gonna
is
go
an
with
antonym?
I'm going to go A.
A? All right. Bonnie?
Yes.
I think antonym being opposite would be B, fun and boring.
And Bonnie is correct. Antonym
Yay.
is opposites. And I had a hard time in high school dealing with antonyms and synonyms. Lastly, okay, the fastest bird on foot is A, turkey, B, flamingo, or C, the ostrich. Which one, Phil?
C, ostrich.
Bonnie?
I'm along with Phil in the letter C.
It is C, the ostrich.
Yeah.
And that's how you play Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Well, that's a wrap for today's show. And Phil, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you with us again next time and adding your 2 cents to the show, as they say.
And
no
top
problem,
10.
guys. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right. Say goodnight, Phil.
Good night, Phil.
There you go. Bonnie, as always, we say ciao, mein,
Honduras.
and arriva dirty. And in the words of Ellen DeGeneres,
Be kind to one another.
that's right. Always be kind to one another, folks. Remember, we are all in this together. And we tell you, wash your hands. All right. We're WSTU Stewart. We're Martin County's Heritage Station. The news is coming up next. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning right here on the Get Up and Go Show. Bye-bye for now.